Hello, welcome everyone to the Spotlight here on Fightful.com. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined as always by Stephen Jensen. And Jensen, it's a flu game for you.
Something, yeah, man. I got super sick. I started feeling it a little bit yesterday morning. Got through my day of work barely. And then man, last night it was just rough. I got a bad headache, got a fever, nauseous, I'm really hoping I don't have the big C. Anyways, there's so much that's gone on in wrestling that it's I could not miss the show today. So I just want to give you all a heads up right off the top. If I mute myself and bail for a second or something, I just feel really really bad this morning, unfortunately. But we got a lot of good stuff to talk about, and
I don't know about
the
good
interview.
Stuff.
Well, sorry. We have a lot of really important stuff to talk about, I should say. And in the interview with Dad that y'all are going to hear was one of my favorite interviews we've done. So yeah, I don't mean to be too much of a downer. I just want to let y'all know off the top, I'm just feeling very, very bad this morning, unfortunately. But we're here to talk about wrestling, so I am glad to be here like every other Thursday.
Jensen's gonna have a trash can just held up in front of the screen at various points. As long as you mute your mic, there you go. There it is.
Just in case,
instead of throwing those WWE titles in the trash, he's gonna be throwing his lunch in the trash, or his breakfast, I guess, from this morning. Well, I hope you feel better
this morning. Yeah,
oh,
dude, I couldn't even eat. Oh no, dude, I couldn't. I ate one thing yesterday, and I couldn't. People don't want to hear about this. It's one of those things where it's just
people like to get to know us. People like to get to know us, and it makes us more personable. Stephen Jensen, instead of just jumping right into the news of wrestling, people get to know the real us on these shows. What our everyday struggles. People think this wrestling life is just you just hop on and you chat about wrestling. This is such a glamorous life. No, we get sick. We got kids. We got shit going on. All right, so people like to get to know us, Stephen Jensen.
Yes, for sure. I'm hoping I don't have to work my shoot job today. I'm waiting to hear back about that. In an ideal situation would be doing this show and going right back to sleep for an entire day. But hey, maybe my boss might hit me back up and say, hey, you got to work. And be like, all right, at least I work from home. At least there's that. Yesterday I had to go in the office for a minute. Now I'm all worried that if I have something, I probably just spread it to all my coworkers. Got it from one of my coworkers. Yeah. I haven't had to be around people in so long. And yesterday, some of our computer systems didn't work. So I had to go into the office for half the day. And yeah, pretty much ever since then, I feel absolutely terrible. But anyways, let's talk about wrestling, Jeremy.
Let me read this super chat from JJ, who says, hello to my favorite big star, King of the Indies watcher. Much love to both of you after this week. Smaller note, pump for Slammiversary. We will talk a little about Slammiversary. That is one of my spotlights this week. Of course, I don't care about these big matches. I only care about the reverse battle royal, because that's back in the world of wrestling. But before we get into any in-ring wrestling, Jensen, to pull back the curtain here a little bit more, we send each other our spotlights for the week. Usually we've been doing them earlier since our show starts earlier now. So Tuesday night we sent in everything except for AEW, because AEW was hadn't aired yet. So we sent in everything for besides AEW Tuesday night. Mine for WWE was the Apollo Crews vignette that aired on NXT, which, sure, if you care about that, go watch that. I thought it was something else. And yours was the NXT UK match between Miko Satomura and Ivy Nile, and Ivy Nile's potential. That is what we were going to talk about when it comes to WWE. We were going to talk about NXT and NXT UK. That's how the week was for WWE by Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. And then Wednesday, around 4:00, I think, is when the Wall Street Journal dropped the story. All hell broke loose in the world of WWE. All hell broke loose in the world of WWE. So Wall Street Journal publishes this story. It is an ongoing investigation. There are legal ramifications. We can only say so much about it. We don't want to get ourselves, the sites, anybody in trouble here. But they're investigating Vince McMahon over $3 million hush pact on an alleged affair. I'm going to pull up the story here in a second. It was behind a paywall on Wall Street Journal. I don't know if it was free, if it is now free. But according to a report of the Wall Street Journal, the board is investigating a secret $3 million settlement that Vince McMahon reportedly agreed to pay to a departing employee with whom he allegedly had an affair, according to documents and people familiar with the board inquiry. So the WWE board of directors is investigating this whole thing. A January 2020 separation agreement reportedly bars the now former employee who was hired as a paralegal in 2019 from discussing her relationship with Mr. McMahon or disparaging him. The investigation reportedly began in April when other older non-disclosure agreements involving claims by the former female WWE employees of misconduct by Mr. McMahon and John Laurinaitis, head of talent relations. Wall Street Journal couldn't determine how many previous agreements were being investigated. Board members reportedly learned of a $3 million agreement and a series of anonymous emails they received from someone who said the former WWE paralegal was as a friend. McMahon and Laurinaitis did not comment on the story. The WWE's lawyer, Jerry McDivitt, sent a letter to the Wall Street Journal, said that the former paralegal hadn't made any claims of harassment against Mr. McMahon and that WWE did not pay any money to the ex-employee on her departure. It does say in the report that McMahon paid his own personal money for this. I think there was some confusion there of did he use WWE funds for it, which would have been a huge no-no, or did he use his personal money, which still isn't good, but it's coming out of his own pocket. And the WWE spokesperson said the company is cooperating fully with the board inquiry and that the relationship with the ex-paralegal was consensual. He added that the company takes the allegations seriously and is dealing with them appropriately. So the investigation's underway. We will see what happens. But this is a major story in the world of wrestling, as the fallout from this could be Vince McMahon leaving. I think Laurinaitis is stepping down in some capacity at some point. I don't see how he kind of gets out of here and remains, scot-free. We saw it with Carano with the trash bag sent to Mickie James, and Paige even said she got her stuff sent in a trash bag by Carano. Paige on her Twitch stream, she retired this past week, by the way. That's like that happened on like Friday, and now it feels just like a story that's non-existent based on everything that happened yesterday. But I like Carano kind of took the fall for all of that. It seems like my guess is Laurinaitis won't last after all of this shakes out. What happens with McMahon, I don't know. What do you see happening here, Stephen Jensen, in terms of the big picture WWE? Because I don't want to get into the investigation of what happened. That's not for us to discuss. That is that's all a legal matter that we can't comment too much on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough to know because on one hand, I don't see Vince leaving like ever for like any reason, but he might kind of be forced to. I don't know. I'm with you though. I can't imagine Laurinaitis like kind of surviving the whole situation in the company. He's married to one of the Bellas, like the Bella's mom, right?
Yeah, their mom. Yeah.
I didn't mean one of the Bellas. Of course not one of the Bellas with their mom. Yeah, I don't know, because like I want to talk more about like kind of what is being alleged, but at the same time we can't really get that into that right now. So it's a tough topic to talk about and kind of tiptoe around. I don't know. I mean, I'll say this, and I caught a little bit of a little bit of Alex and Sean last night, and I'm with Alex when it comes to a lot of it, where he was just like, how crazy is it though that like no one even seems surprised? You know what I mean? Like it's surprising, right? But like when it happened, everyone's kind of like, oh yeah, I could see that happening. It's like, damn, I really don't know. Until there's more information out there, it's going to be really hard to comment on. And like you said, I don't want to get us in trouble or the site in trouble or anything. So I don't know, but this is huge, like David Bixenspan said it on Twitter yesterday. And, I think he makes a pretty good point. I think if you're a disgruntled WWE employee and you're someone who wants out of the company, or you're someone who's had any kind of like weird, like creepiness happen to them in the company and stuff, like now is your time to like really speak up and like try to do something about that. You know what I mean? Like, because, this is a really bad look for the WWE, a really bad look for Vince, a really bad look for Laurinaitis. And it's just, I've heard, I don't know anything obviously, but like there's always been kind of like under the surface kind of rumors that like Vince over time has kind of like done stuff like that, like, because they have like a crazy sketch history of like doing a lot of crazy stuff with a lot of their performers and stuff. And I like the idea of like a little hush money doesn't really seem that out of the realm of possibility. Not just for this, but like there's probably other stuff too throughout the history of the company that Vince was probably like, you know what, I don't want this to be a problem. Let's give you some money and get you to kind of keep your mouth shut. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, obviously. I'm just saying like none of this is just that. Like once the story came out and I was reading into it, I was like, this stuff just doesn't really seem that surprising to me, which is not really good. Because like if this was like, I don't know what a good example is, but if this was another person in like high power, if this was like I don't know, I don't want to name names, but if this was like the owner of another like major sports franchise or something like that, like I wouldn't be I would be way more surprised than like Vince being involved, if that makes sense. Like Vince he's always got controversy kind of attached to him in some way, shape, or form. And also I want to throw this out there, Stephanie leaving the company the way she did, like who knows if this has anything to do with that's complete speculation, but I'm just saying like his whole family is like leaving the company, and like I don't know, like it's a terrible look. It's bad. I don't really know how else to. Well, how is there? What else do you want to add about it? Because I know once again we can't talk like super in detail about it, so it's tough. But like, do you kind of feel the same way where it's like you hear this and you're like, unfortunately, you're like not surprised, but like it is shocking that like this is happening.
When it comes to billionaire owners in any company, I'm not surprised with anything. You mentioned like other sports. Amon brings up Robert Kraft. We've seen in the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks got hit with a big sexual harassment story.
Was that with Cuban or?
I don't recall the details on that, and I don't want to get anything wrong. I don't know if Cuban was like fully involved with that, but it was definitely a bad environment when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks. Cuban is obviously still there, so it may have just been like he turned a blind eye to stuff. Maybe he wasn't directly involved with things, but I don't want to get details of the story wrong. We had the Clippers owner who got caught using racist languge, and so like he got outed on that. Like he got kicked out of the league. Sterling, I believe. So like this happens in sports. It happens across really a lot of these big businesses. We maybe don't hear about it. Leland says I think Cuban was aware of it and tried to cover up, didn't recommend. I would imagine Cuban probably, like, considering he runs that thing, like knew something about something and just didn't like say much. And then, people just got fired off of it, or people left off of it. So it happens across sports. And I imagine it happens across a lot of big businesses. But when you have this many employees and this much going on, for it to happen with the top person, I don't know how often that happens. Yeah, Washington Commanders, they're going through a lot of stuff, and they've been going through a lot of different stuff. So it definitely happens. As far as like the overall big time ramifications on all of this, yeah, I think Laurinaitis is probably finished. I think this makes it more likely that WWE just sells. I mean, you've been saying it. You've been thinking they've been trying to sell for a while now, and I think that this makes it even more likely. I don't know. I did see claims that someone like leaked the information on the boards. People want to speculate and throw out there like, oh, Nick Khan leaked it, Triple H leaked it. Somebody, I have no idea what's true on that or not. I think Vince does just take a step back from everything because he survived a lot. He's gotten through a lot, to where people thought like, oh, Vince, this is going to be the end of it all. And at this point, as old as he is and everything, it just seems like it's better off. Hey, let me give this to Triple H, Stephanie. Let me give this to Nick Khan. He can sell it if he wants. And that be kind of the end of that with Vince. He's made his money. He'll be fine. Like that'll be that. That's kind of where I think Vince is kind of going to be finished. after this. And I could be completely wrong. This might be another thing where Vince McMahon, the man has 20 lives and he survives again. But I think what's best for the company at this point is he just steps away and that's it. Even if the investigation comes up and it's like, well, this happened, nobody's actually in trouble. And, you know, who knows what actually comes out of the investigation. But even if that's what comes out, if I'm Vince, this is already a black cloud on things. I'd step away and just turn over a new leaf with the entire company.
Yeah, that's understandable. And like you said, you know, I have been calling for them to sell for a while now, and I think Nick Khan is kind of like going to be kind of like the Dana White of it. Like he'll kind of be the face and like maybe the president of it. Even if they sell, I think that like the next company, Disney or whoever, will probably want Nick Khan in that position. So yeah, I don't know. And also like I said, how much. This is complete reckless speculation. Okay, I'm not sitting here like none of this is fact, and I don't know any more than anyone else does about any of this. But like, I also wonder how like did they know something was gonna kind of come up soon about something like this? Because, like I said, the Stephanie thing was weird. Vince going on, you know, the McAfee show and doing an interview like he never does. Him getting back in the ring and wrestling and all that, like. So maybe some of this stuff was like a last ditch effort of like, hey, I know things are about to blow up in my face. So like, I want to get all this other stuff done. Like at least like get in the ring again and do a tell all interview and this and that. And Steph's going to leave and Triple H is out of power and Shane's not around. And, you know, maybe Vince kind of knew something was coming soon. So he wanted to kind of like get that stuff in before he couldn't anymore. I have literally no idea. I'm just saying like maybe they knew this was coming.
There's that. Brandon Thurston just tweeted 18 minutes ago, 2.1 million WWE shares changed hands yesterday, about 1.5 million more than an average day, all before the Wall Street Journal story broke. Just after the market closed. So get about 1.5 million more shares changed hands with WWE yesterday, just before the story broke. Is this, you know, insider trading type stuff? I don't know. That does seem a little curious, just like Stephanie stepping away, just like Vince. Not even so much the interview, which was a little curious, but if the man was going to wrestle again, then sure, maybe he's going to do an interview and everything. And maybe, like you said, he decided to wrestle again because this was his last shot at everything. I know people pointed out in that interview where he was referred to Linda as my wife at the time and not, you know, my current wife. People were very much in picking that up. There was the report that Vince and Linda were selling their home. It turned out that report was not true. There was also the report that they were selling, I believe, their like loft in Connecticut. And I think that report was actually true. So there's different reports going on when it comes to them. A lot of stuff that's been happening when it comes to them that you look at it now, when you see when this investigation started, when you see when all this, which was basically, you know, April, and then a little bit earlier when the documents came out in January, when you see the timeline with everything, you can definitely look at things like, oh, this is a lot more curious now than it was then. And even then it was a little bit curious.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah. I'm the shares changing hands. The timing of that is very suspect. Yeah, this is all a bad look. I'm interested to see, you know, what comes out next about this. If more people step forward about similar things. I mean, think about all the like women specifically that like worked for the WWE, especially in like the Attitude Era and stuff. You know, like some of the stuff that like some of those women were subjected to doing like on screen and probably behind the scenes and stuff. You know what I mean? There's probably a lot of people with the WWE that like haven't wanted to say anything because like they didn't want to be the only one. And it's, dude, it's pretty much impossible to go up against the WWE in court. Like you're almost always going to lose if you try to fight the WWE. And so it's like, it's, you know, it's tough, but like maybe if there are people who have been wronged in the past, they see this and they're like, you know what, I'm going to say something about this, about what happened with me. And maybe they can all kind of band together and get something done. I'm also not one of these people who fiends for like the downfall of people. I'm not sitting here hoping like Vince, I'm not sitting here hoping like, Vince, his whole life and career just goes down in flames. But at the same time, like, if there's truth to this and then like other things start coming out, like, I mean, I do kind of hope he gets what he deserves. But you know what I mean? I'm not one of those people that like really like cherishes or like relishes in people like crashing and burning or like having bad luck and like bad things happening to people. But like, I am big on like justice as well. So like, if these things are true and more things come out, I hope that the victims and what have you, I hope that they get justice for what happened. I mean, to pay someone $3 million, if this is accurate, because I remember I think it said something along the lines of like, it was like $3 million, but I think it was like $1 million at a time for like up to like 5 years or something. So it sounds like it was designed specifically to keep someone shut up long term, right? Like if you want all the money.
It says the non-disclosure agreement provided an upfront payment of $1 million to the former employee, with the remaining $2 million to be doled out over a period of 5 years.
So that too is like, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's smart on Vince's part, like to do something like that, because it's like a long-term way of trying to keep someone's mouth shut. But at the same time, like if this is true, that's it's pretty telling, right? Because it's like, hey, we know we screwed up and we need this person to keep their mouth shut for at least 5 years. So we're going to incentivize them by paying them out incrementally throughout 5 years, so that hopefully 5 years from now, if anything comes out, we can just be like, oh, that was a long time ago. And like, they can't get their facts straight and blah, blah, blah. And like too much time has passed and maybe nothing happens. And it was a friend of the person this was alleged against, right? Like this wasn't like the victim saying something. It was like a friend of the victim saying this to the Wall Street Journal. So well, I don't know.
I don't know who talked to the Wall Street Journal. What came out in the emails, and these emails that now, if they're going to be investigating this stuff, this could get very messy, because the report says the first email sent to board members on March 30th alleged that Mr. McMahon initially hired the woman at a salary of $100,000, but increased it to $200,000 after beginning a sexual relationship with her. The email to the board also alleged Mr. McMahon gave her like a toy to Mr. Laurinaitis. These words, what's going to come out potentially in these emails, could get very ugly if this is just one line in an email that they found so far. The board is investigating the allegations in the email. The people said the people familiar with the inquiry said the former employee reportedly moved from the legal department in 2021 to become an assistant to Mr. Laurinaitis. My friend was so scared, so she quit after Vince McMahon and lawyer Jerry paid her millions of dollars to shut up. The initial email to the board said, referring to Mr. McMahon's long-term lawyer, Mr. McDivitt, who negotiated the deal, according to people familiar with the board inquiry. So I don't know if it was a friend of a friend. It just seems like it's people familiar with the board wanting to do the investigation. Who those people are, not sure, not going to speculate on that. Just that is what we know.
Well, and to be completely honest, once again, we're gonna have to wait till more things come out for sure on this stuff. But like, even if the only thing that happened, like everything else aside, even if there's truth to that employee getting a twice the pay that they were getting before for having a sexual relationship with Vince and or Laurinaitis, like that alone is enough to be like, okay, like this is really messed up and something needs to happen. And like Laurinaitis is done, Vince is probably done. Like just that one aspect of like the quid pro quo of like, you make $100,000, but if we start getting in bed together, you're going to make $200,000. Like that alone is enough for this to be a humongous problem. Not even all the other stuff we're talking about. So like, I mean, so yeah, this is bad. I mean, there's no other way of putting it. Like it's bad. Unless this is all, unless there's no truth to any of it. But at the same time, it's hard to believe the Wall Street Journal would run a story if there was no truth to this. Like they're not going to, they got a lot on the line by like being wrong about something like this too and putting it out there. I mean, so I have to imagine there's at least some truth If not, this whole everything might be true about what we're seeing, and there's probably more stuff coming. So, yeah, it's I mean, think about how long Vince like got away with this kind of stuff too. I mean, it's been like decades upon decades of like, lawsuits and sketchy behavior and kind of like bullying like people who would ever come at him and like all this stuff. And he's kind of been untouchable for the most part for, since like he took the company over from his dad. And it kind of feels like time's up, if I'm being honest, based on, like I said, even if just the pay bump happened, even if it was just that, that's still enough, I think, for it to be a really, really big problem.
None of this is a good look for Vince or WWE. We will see what the fallout is. I hope that the victims do get some justice in this. A lot of times with these stories, we see that it kind of plays out like with people just are paid off. Like we've kind of seen with what's happened in this story reportedly of, hey, we just paid you $3 million hush money. That's the end of it. That's how a lot of this sort of plays out. We'll see what happens with this. I hope that it is not just, hey, let's just settle a bunch of stuff and that's that, and nothing actually happens based on history when it comes to this stuff and rich billionaires and everything. Money buys you out of a lot of situations here. And I could certainly see that being the case, but we'll see what the investigation turns out. I would imagine there is truth to the story. Where the truth is, how much the truth is going to come out, we don't know, and we'll find out in the coming. I don't think it's going to be weeks. I do think it's going to take months for all of this to eventually come out. I think we'll start seeing a big shift in WWE through the rest of the year, and we'll see what this affects in the end. I think someone mentioned that like the stock. I mean, I'm going to check the stock right now, and like if it's gone down or anything, because someone said like that's all these people care about is that. What's the stock price? So, and it has gone down. It went down 0.11. So doesn't seem like it's gone down that much today. You would think a big story like this, it would go down a little bit more, but that's what these people care about. If the stock price is terrible, it's gonna be like, all right, well, everything's good still. So we'll see what's going on with everything. We got a bunch of super chats on this. Alan Marks says, we'll have to wait and see about the legal ramifications, but based on my training in business management and labor law, it is possible there could be a case against Vince for a third-party harassment given his history. I don't know. I'll trust your training in business management and labor law. I think there could be a lot of cases against Vince when all of this is said and done. Whether or not any of them happen is, a different story. Alan Mark says, also the law requires confidentiality by all parties in the investigation. Yeah, that's why I don't know if the full truth of everything is going to come out, but something will certainly come out of this that is more than that's already come out in this story. And Joseph JBJ sent in just a super chat. JBJ, if you got a message, let me know. I don't see any other comment. Oh, there we go. Sorry, my chat didn't go through. I was going to say this feels like just the tip of the iceberg, and other stories will come out, which will lead to Vince's demise at some point. That's kind of my general feeling as well, but I don't know if that's going to be the actual case because we've just seen Vince we've seen him skate through a lot of stuff through the years where we thought something was going to come out and then nothing ended up coming out on it. So I could see that a lot of stuff just gets kept quiet and maybe he just respectfully steps down. I don't know how this is going to play out. I really don't.
Or maybe there's more hush money. He's like, all right, you know what? How about $10 million? It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
again, like a lot of times when it comes to this stuff, like a lot of it just probably gets paid out and that's the end of it. Like how many times have we seen this when it comes to investigations, when it comes to harassment lawsuits and stuff? It's just like, oh, they settled. There was a money exchange. Nobody talk about anything. Like that's a lot of times that it seems like that's how it plays out when it comes to this stuff, when it involves, rich people going on.
Well,
so
I was just say real quick that, and part of me, I want to know what the truth is for a lot of reasons, right? Like you want to know and you want justice, but also as like just a fan of wrestling, which is secondary to like the things that we're talking about, but like being a fan of wrestling, there are obviously those people out there that will blindly support the WWE regardless. Like they don't care. They all this could be true and they still love the WWE and it just doesn't matter. But I think for the fans that are maybe on the fence about like whether or not to support the product, they need to know the truth, because like if you're out there like buying the merchandise and buying tickets and watching the shows and promoting the product and you're this big WWE fan out there in the world or whatever, but like this kind of stuff is going on, at least you should know so that you can make a decision on if you want to continue to support the product or not, because you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where like, I want the truth out there, like, because I mean, and this goes with anything. I'm obviously a huge AEW fan, but like if this was like the same exact story but in AEW, like I would want to know, because this might sway my opinion on like even wanting to be a fan of the product. You know what I mean? Like I think that people, I think on one hand it's like, does everyone deserve to know everything going on behind the scenes with everybody? Not necessarily. I don't know, but but in a situation like this, when it's the owner of the entire thing, I just feel like there might be fans out there that like they hear this and they're like, damn, you know what? Like, I really shouldn't be supporting this product anymore. Like, I don't want to keep putting money in this guy's pocket. Like, the money that I'm giving this guy is getting sent off to women to keep them shut up because he's doing screwed up stuff. Like this is like, so I just wanted to throw that out there too. Like, I feel like it's important that the fan base know what's going on, because I feel like
WWE is obviously not going to blast this on their television show or their social media or anything. Not. Yeah, if you're online and you read this stuff, then you're going to know whether or not you want to continue to support is up to you. A lot of people, they will, their parents and their kids, they're probably not going to tell their kids like, hey, I want to go see a WWE show. They're not going to be like, well, we're not going to support this because of this, this, and this. And the kid doesn't care about this stuff. The kid is just like, I just want to go see Roman Reigns. I just want to go see this person. The kids, they cheer for Riddle, and he has allegations against him, or had allegations against him. So there's a lot of shady people in wrestling, and now the company is being there's a big cloud over the company right now. So I agree with you that fans should know what the full truth is. I think for a lot of fans who are in our position, this may be, we already know a lot of the bad stuff that has happened in wrestling. We know the dark side of the ring of wrestling, and we make our decisions based on that. I think for a lot of people who have been following wrestling in our position long enough, and this story coming out, like we've kind of said, isn't the most surprising thing in the world. And we've made our decisions when it comes to this stuff and what we actually support. And for people like us, it's like, we might not actually support some of this stuff. We've just got to cover it because it's part of our jobs. There are wrestlers that I do not support. I do not support what they've done in their personal lives and stuff, but I still have to cover them in some capacity because that's just part of my job. And that's how it's going to be with WWE. WWE, this happens. We can't stop covering WWE because of this, even if I don't directly support. I'll support WWE with any of my money or anything like that. I guess I do because I pay for Peacock or whatever. But like, I got to continue to cover the product and everything. But you're right that fans do deserve to know. I think for a lot of fans, they know stuff and they're just going to continue to make their decisions.
Sure. 100%. And like you said, of course, the WWE is not going to come out and say something about this, nor legally probably can they, if we're being fair. Like, I mean, this is an ongoing investigation and stuff. Like, I don't think anyone's could even legally say something publicly if they wanted to from the company right now. But yeah, until more comes out, we can't say. I mean, we've actually talked a lot more in detail about it than I thought we were going to. But I also don't think we've said anything like that's out of turn. Like this. I hope the truth comes out. I hope justice is served. I hope the appropriate measures are taken based on what winds up coming out, and I hope that people out there that who I'm not going to sit here and say like I hope people stop supporting the WWE, because that's really not my point. It's just like I hope that if you hear this and you say, well, damn, I don't want to really support this product anymore, you have the right for that. Like I think as a WWE fan, you have the right to know what's going on so that you can decide if you want to continue to support the product or not. So, yeah, we'll see what happens going forward. But I don't think there's any way John Laurinaitis survives the situation. Like, I think there's no chance in hell. But Vince, I think might be able to weather it potentially just because he has for forever. He's been able to get out of stuff like this. But like at the same time, if you were already on the fence and like considering selling the company, this probably expedites the entire process. Like if you have a buyer and somebody's out there saying they want to give you like $8 to $10 billion or something for this thing, and now you've got this lawsuit like looming in the background, I think you just wash your hands of it, and just ride off into the sunset if you're Vince. Like go enjoy the rest of your time on Earth. He's old. He doesn't have a lot of time left probably. And like, just go be with your family and just kind of just do your thing. But who knows what that family looks like too? I mean, geez, with the way that they were all treated on their ways out and stuff. I mean, it's wild, man. Because especially for like me and you, we've been watching wrestling for like 30 years, and like, you know, if even in like the 90s and like the early 2000s and stuff, if you would have ever thought that like things would kind of wind up like this, where like the product would be so different than what we grew up on, and that like Stephanie would kind of be leaving and Triple H wouldn't be the succession plan, and Vince has just got lawsuits out the wazoo and he's going to have to bail on his own company. I mean, man, times have changed, man. It's sad to see in a lot of ways, you know.
We have a super chat from DeAndre Fine. He doesn't have a message, so I'm going to read his previous message here. And DeAndre, if you have a different message, feel free to send that in. But he says, been WWE fan since I was 5. The truth needs to come out and justice needs to be done. We deserve better. The fans, the men and women, deserve better. And I'm with you that we will see what comes out of this, and then it's up to the fans to make their own decisions based on, you know, how they feel about everything, and if they want to continue to support who they want to continue to support. So yeah, we shall see. Not the only thing going on in WWE.
Now, Jeremy, is this confirmed what we're about to talk about?
No. I'll set it all up here. Raj Giri of Wrestling Inc. reported that Sasha Banks had been released. And Sean says he spoke with Raj. This is on Fightful Select. Everyone go over to Fightful Select, $5 a month. That helps support us. You get the Weekender with Stephen Jensen over there as well. Yeah. But I'm gonna kind of spoil some Fightful Select news here. But this is the kind of the stuff you get from Fightful Select if you sign up. So Raj Giri of Wrestling Inc. reported that Sasha Banks had been released. Sean said he spoke to Raj prior to and informed him of the claim of Banks' release. Fightful reached out to numerous WWE reps, one of which got back to us and stated, not that I've heard in regards to release. They said they saw Raj's tweets, didn't comment beyond that. Nobody in WWE has explicitly shot it down. They've just said they haven't heard about it. And that pertains to talent, front office, public relations, and staff. If Banks has been released, it's been kept very, very quiet. The part that gets me, I'm not going to read the whole thing and sign up to Fightful Select for everything. There was a part in there about okay, so here it is. The claim, again, unverified by us as of yet, were that Banks' lawyers were involved and there had been eyes on a physical WWE release. So sounds like there's more going on than just, you know, hey, here's your release papers. Sounds like this could be potentially another legal matter, and that she did get her release and there are lawyers involved. Some people I know are trying to link the two together of like, oh, well, they put it out there now because of the Wall Street Journal story, and so they're trying to take the heat off of that. I think they might be linked together in that, hey, this story is coming out. They have trying to hold talent back that once their release doesn't look good when this is all going on, so let's just give her release. I don't think this is a thing of, hey, let's release Sasha Banks because to take the heat off the Wall Street Journal story, because one, I don't think the Wall Street Journal story is going anywhere for a while. Two, I don't think it looks good that they're just releasing Sasha Banks. I think, if anything, that adds more of like, wow, WWE, you've had a really shitty day today, haven't you? I think if they're linked together, then I think if they're linked together, then it's because this story came out. Now they have less of a leg to stand on with a lot, because if a talent is potentially requesting their release, you can't just be like, oh yeah, we're just going to keep holding you when you want out, when we have all this other stuff going on. Let's just honestly make ourselves look better and be like, hey, look, we granted you your release when you wanted out. We don't know if she's been released yet. I imagine more will come out. I imagine more will come out in the coming days with everything. If she's been released, if she gets released, that's a big loss for WWE. I've said it many times. I don't think they've done the best with her when it comes to marketing and how they've pushed her. Not necessarily on television, because she's got a lot of accolades. She's got a lot of championships. I do think they could have still done better there. But just as her crossover appeal, I think she could be one of the biggest stars, and she should have been treated as such, and they had not utilized her in the way they should have. Like, I think she should have been more in a Becky Charlotte position than kind of a little bit in a tier below her, is how they've always presented her. She was in Star Wars. She's done just tremendous things, a lot of different things in crossover that I don't think they capitalized enough on. And I don't know if she goes to AEW. I know she loves wrestling. She probably wants to continue to wrestle in some capacity, but I think she has a big future outside of wrestling as well.
Yeah, I think everything you said is all really fair points. I talked about this just a second ago too, about what Bix was saying on Twitter about if you're disgruntled in like any way, shape, or form with the company, like now's the time. And I think that's kind of, you just kind of alluded to that as well. Like I'm not going to sit here and say like, yeah, they dropped they released Sasha to take heat off of the Wall Street Journal thing, because like that those are unrelated, I think. But I do think they're related to a degree, a very small degree, in that sense of like, they might be sitting here going, you know what, if so and so wants out of their contract, we're dealing with this lawsuit right now. We don't want even more people coming at us right now and trying to get, they don't want it all piling up probably. So they're like, you know what, Sasha, you want out. You've publicly wanted out. We don't want this to get dragged out publicly or in court or anything. We got enough going on right now. When it comes to legal, we'll just cut you so that you can go off and do your thing, and we'll just. But then if you're like an Ali or someone like that, you're probably wanting the same thing. You're probably like, hey, hold on a second, like, are we allowed to finally ask out now, because Sasha got out and other people have gotten out before that, and like I don't think people are going to necessarily like use the lawsuit as leverage to like get out of their deals and stuff like that. But I mean, kind of, to a degree, maybe they see with this with Sasha and other people that want out are like, now's the time to get out. Like, they got a lot going on. They're probably not going to fight it too much, and just get out if you can, if you want out. I think it's pretty. I mean, it would be shocking if Sasha didn't wind up in AEW. I mean, she'd kill it there, and they could really use her in the women's division. I think the AEW women's division is actually really good, though, by the way. Like, I like it more than most people do, but adding someone like Sasha puts it on a whole different level than where it's at right now. So, and then, yeah, she has like the Mandalorian stuff and, acting, and, she's related to Snoop, and, I'm sure she can get in more in that world too, in like the hip hop scene and like music videos or whatever. Right. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's like plenty of stuff that she's going to be able to do outside of wrestling. But yeah, I mean, it's wild that like, all the other stuff aside, like lawsuits and the Vince stuff and whatnot, just the idea that a performer the level of Sasha Banks is in that kind of position in the WWE to where she's so undervalued that she has to like quit the company pretty much, when this company should be like the land of opportunity, right? Like, I mean, it's like, this is the WWE. This is the biggest, most established sports entertainment company in the world. I mean, this is, and they just don't know what to do with their stars, or even trying to make people stars. Like, I'm with you too. I think that the fan base views Sasha on the same level as a Charlotte, but Vince just doesn't for whatever reason. And she's been pigeonholed as like kind of a mid-card act versus like a consistent main event act. So I understand why Sasha's frustrated. I also said it before, and I have to keep it real. People need to know what they're getting into when they keep signing with this company. Like, if you have to know that like these kind of things are a possibility. But if you're Sasha, it's like the timing just seems to be right. Like, things weren't going well for her there. At least she wasn't getting what she wanted to out of her time there. They didn't seem to really see the value in her. And, she walked out again. And I said it when the walkout happened here on this show. I really feel like the only real resolution that would work for anybody would be Sasha getting released. Like, I just didn't see her ever really making it work, or it's not her fault, but you know what I mean? I never saw the two sides being satisfied with one another. And this is probably the best situation, honestly. Like, if Sasha wanted out, she got out. Or at least we think she got out. We don't know 100% for sure, but Raj is obviously very credible. I don't think he'd put that out there unless there was like some serious truth to it, or at least very least his sources have made him feel confident in running the story. And I know that we wouldn't run something like that unless we were pretty confident as well. And I know you ran the report of it, on the website and stuff. So like, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though, right? I mean, hopefully Sasha's just happier outside the WWE. Hopefully she can wrestle elsewhere. I would love to see her in AEW. And if she wants to act, she's going to be able to act and do other stuff. And I think this is probably the best case scenario for Sasha.
I think, yeah, if she wants to go to AEW, she definitely has a home there. I think she could go anywhere and she could have a home anywhere. People were saying it's not a big loss, like she's not really a draw. I don't really think anybody in WWE is like a draw. I think Roman shifts a little bit. Cody certainly shifted things a bit. Anybody else, like even the people they look at as stars, like Charlotte, like Ronda, Becky, Seth, like they can all be just like shifted out. We've heard the expression a million times, like just cogs on the wheel. And I think that's how they see Sasha, of like, okay, she's been off television now for nearly a month, and it's like nothing's really kind of moved up and down either way. It's not like SmackDown is taking this big hit because of Sasha Banks. If SmackDown ratings have dipped, one, I think Roman is a little bit more of that, and two, it's because they've been up against like the NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs. Same thing with like Raw ratings. If that's dipped, it's because of the more what they've been up against when it comes in terms of sports, as opposed to, hey, they've lost Sasha Banks. So yeah, I don't think if she left, in their eyes, it is a big loss. I think in the eyes of a lot of fans, it's a very big loss, because you don't want to mess with the crew on Twitter. All right. I don't know if you've experienced the crew, Stephen Jensen. I got friends of friends who've experienced the crew on Twitter. It's not good. You're looking at me like, you never see. Yeah. Stay. See, you've avoided them. You've avoided them on Twitter, which would be good. Because the Sasha Banks fans on Twitter, they're some of the most passionate fans in the world. And so, again, very, very passionate fan base that she has. So they will follow her. They will continue to support her. And for WWE, I don't think they view it as a big loss. For someone like me, who I see Sasha as the best women's wrestler in the United States and the most complete performer. Becky, in this second run, or this current run, she's very quickly climbing that list because she's been tremendous. But I think Sasha, in ring, overall presentation, the way she carries herself, the crossover appeal she has, I think she's top of the top when it comes to the female division, and she'd be number one on my draft board. So whatever she wants to do, she would certainly be successful at that. Sajizzle says, why go to AEW, which just knowingly enabled Hardy for weeks, another sloppy billionaire who doesn't care about wrestlers. We'll talk about that here in a second. But it would be a loss for WWE if they lose Sasha Banks, and probably not in their minds as someone who enjoys watching her and is she's one of the people that I will tune in to stuff for when it comes to WWE. To not have that, I think would be a pretty big loss, at least for me.
Yeah, I'm with you though. I think that the WWE sees it as not a big loss. She's one of those situations for the WWE where like I don't think that Vince and the WWE see Sasha as like a massive star or like a big loss for them, but they also didn't really want her going anywhere else. It's like that weird like we don't.
Yeah,
you're not a big enough star for us to go all the way with, but like you're too big of a star to go somewhere else.
That was their reasoning for like keeping Ali, right? He wanted out and they didn't honor that. And I think that was, I'd have to go back and look at the reports, but it was what Sean said was that like, oh yeah, we can't have you just like go elsewhere because we could use you, but it's like, okay, we're not really going to use you. That it's a weird thing. We've seen a million times people request the release over the years and it not be granted immediately. And it's like, well, what's the reasoning? Be like, you're not going to use this person. They want out. Why won't you release them? If you don't see them as a big star and you're not going to use them, just let them go. It's strange, but that's kind of the way they do their business.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it was wild. Like I said, I was feeling real sick last night, and I talked about it at the top of the show. Not feeling great this morning either, but like last night I was laying there kind of like spinning, just like couldn't keep my eyes closed, couldn't go to sleep. And then I started getting messages from Jeremy, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? It's like, of course, on a day like today where like the Vince thing breaks, it's like midnight or whatever. And I'm like, oh, and now Sasha's gotten released. Like, what a freaking day to be in the WWE or be a WWE fan. Like that's a weird one. Yesterday was a weird one.
It was certainly a wild day, and I mean it's been a wild week as we move into AEW. As it started on Monday when the report came out that Jeff Hardy had been arrested for DUI and driving with the suspended license as well. He had a hearing scheduled for Tuesday that got moved to July 5th. AEW did release a statement on Tuesday saying Jeff was suspended without pay and he has to go to substance abuse treatment. And that's sort of where we're at. I think that first and foremost, Jeff, somebody's got to help this man beyond the help he's already given. I hope he does go to some type of treatment. I think when it comes to this is you cannot get clean and healthy if it is not your choice. If you are being forced to do this stuff, it's probably not going to work out well. I know Jeff has said a lot of the right things in the past. I know Matt and other people have said a lot of the right things in the past. Clearly, it has not worked because this is still happening. And at some point, Jeff has to help himself when it comes to this stuff. And Tony Khan can say, he's going to treatment and everything. It's not going to matter if Jeff is not going to take the steps in treatment and outside of treatment to make all of this work. And it's not going to matter if the people around him do not take the steps to keep an eye on him and look, they should not have to babysit this grown man, but you kind of have to at this point. You kind of have to, if you see him with a drink, you have to just smack it out of his hand or something because the history is there and somebody has just got to help him when it comes to this, because right now it seems that he's not helping himself. Yeah, as Cam says, you can't save people that don't want to be saved. And it's true. I have a cousin who had substance abuse issues and he went to jail, and the moment he got out, he immediately was right back doing the same things. And eventually he turned things around, but it took him a while after that because a program didn't work, jail didn't work, and that was that. So if that stuff isn't going to work, if you're going to send them there and it's not going to work for them because they don't want it to work, then it's just going to continue to not work. So yes, they have to be able to help themselves in this instance. I do think he could, just have more people being like, hey, no, don't do this, because it doesn't seem, based on, I don't know if you saw the video of him, like it seemed like he took a drink of whiskey. He said, whiskey, my best friend, my worst enemy. if you're watching that and stuff, somebody's got to be like, hey, can we not do this? You can't expect people to be around this man 24/7 to watch him, but there's more going on here than just, oh, we left him alone for 5 minutes and he just drank a bunch. Like, people have got to step in, more people have got to step in, and he has certainly got to do a better job of helping himself when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of layers with Jeff, and let me preface this by saying I think that drinking and driving is moronic. I don't support it. I'm not justifying anything that he's done. I think that he's been incredibly irresponsible, and I mean, I know that, obviously you're not in like the most clear head if you're gonna like drink and drive to begin with, but I don't understand how like he doesn't always just have an Uber or like just hire a driver to like just drive him around everywhere. I mean, he's Jeff Hardy. He's a multimillionaire. He's famous. Like, he could easily just hire someone to just always drive him around. I'll say this, and I just want to throw this out there as just, I do cut Jeff a lot more slack than most people. And this is just me personally. I'm not justifying the drinking and driving. I'm not at all. But when it comes to his substance abuse issues that he's had for like really pretty much most of his life, it seems like, probably since he was like a teenager. I lost my mom to breast cancer when I was 14. My brother was 11. And I know Matt and Jeff were in a very similar situation. About the same age, their mom died of cancer, and they went through like some really traumatic stuff growing up. And I could understand Jeff. Like, I think part of the reason this is so tough for someone like Jeff, I think, is because I think he's going through a lot of mental stuff that he's been going through probably for his entire life. And a lot of it probably stems from tragedy. And then on top of that, the physical pain of his in-ring wrestling style and being prescribed painkillers throughout his career and all these other things. So like, he's getting it from both sides. He's probably mentally coping with a lot with personal issues, and he's probably physically coping with the actual pain of wrestling. Not on top of wrestling. It's Jeff freaking Hardy. Like, this is a guy who's given, outside of maybe like a Mick Foley, and even then it's very similar. Like, these guys literally traded their physical well-being for our entertainment. Like, Jeff's known for jumping off of ladders and through tables and in hardcore matches and all this stuff. Even at his age now, the match he had with Darby and stuff, it's like so it's just one of those things where like, I think I think Jeff's going, I think mentally he's going through a lot, and I think physically he's going through a lot. But like Matt can't be his babysitter all the time, and Matt's had his own problems, and like, it's just tough. It's just a really tough situation, because like, you can't justify what Jeff's doing because he's risking other people's well-being by getting behind the wheel and driving. But at the same time, I'm also like, what's the best thing for Jeff? Like, is it to be on the road and like doing music and keeping his mind off stuff and like getting in the ring and like getting that kind of that high from the crowd versus like that high from like drugs? Or is it better for him to be at home, like just kind of like getting clean, but at the same time, like, I know from my own personal experience going through similar type things, sometimes being alone is even worse, because like, that's when you're like left with your thoughts, and like, that's gonna maybe lead to you using stuff to just pass the time. And now like, the fans aren't chanting. Scott Hall would always talk about that. What do you do when the fans stop chanting your name? When you're Jeff Hardy, what do you do? And I think he's just in a really tough spot mentally and physically. And he's in a trap where his escape is pro wrestling, but pro wrestling, I think, is adding to the problems. But for him to go home, the problems might get worse. So like, I don't know what the solution is. I really don't. Cause like, it's easy to say, well, we got to just keep getting him help, keep getting him programs, blah, blah, blah. But like you said, you can do 1 million of those. How many times have we seen like someone like Bam Margera go to rehab and just like escape rehab? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, because they just don't want to be there. Like, there's nothing you can do if there's nothing anyone can do if you don't want to get help. There's nothing that anyone else can do for you. You have to want to get help. I don't know. I don't know. I do feel bad for Jeff. I think he's made some really bad decisions though. So I don't feel bad for him, like as far as like getting caught, because I'm glad he got caught, because he can't be out there drinking and driving. Stupid. It's dumb thing. I don't condone it at all. But like, but at the same time, I don't know how you help, because I mean, this has also been an ongoing thing. I mean, the first time he got released from the WWE was what, like 2003 or something. I mean, like,
yeah.
You know, and like, so this has been a thing, and that was back when he wouldn't go to rehab then. And then he went off to TNA and stuff. And like, it's been a thing throughout Jeff's career. I mean, with Impact and stuff. So it's like, he'll have these runs where like he'll get, or at least we think that he's sober. And I remember him doing that interview with Steve Austin. And then also because like he did the interview with Austin, and then like weeks later, it was like he was out of the WWE for like walking out of the match and stuff. But this is also, I have to throw this out there too for this situation, because I have to be fair about this. You know, a lot of us gave the WWE a lot of shit for how Jeff was handled on his way out this last time, but they might have been right. You know, a lot of people joked about it. A lot of on BTE, the Young Bucks did a bunch of skits about pissing in a cup and walking out of matches, and people made fun of it and made fun of the WWE and said the WWE was wrong for treating Jeff like that. They might have been right. They really might have been right. And I have to give them credit for that. Maybe they saw the issues that Jeff was going through, and they did try to get him help, and Jeff didn't want the help. And instead of like owning up to that in the situation, he made it seem like the WWE was crazy and they were treating him unfairly, when in reality, they might have actually just been trying to help him. So I wanted to throw that out there too, you know, for all the bad things I say about the WWE, you know, it's very possible that they were trying to get ahead of this thing and like help Jeff, and he didn't want the help, and we all took Jeff's side, but in reality, WWE really might have been trying to help him. So
Sajizzle says allowing Addict to destroy his body is enabling.
Sure.
I think WWE could have certainly booked him better. I do think WWE did a good job of, hey, don't go out there and just do a bunch of crazy stuff every single night. And when it comes to AEW, they treated Jeff Hardy like Jeff Hardy, like Attitude Era Jeff Hardy. Go do all the, you know, crazy stunts and spots that you're known for and everyone loves you for. And Jeff's not going to say no to a lot of this stuff. I'm sure Jeff probably wanted to do a lot of this stuff because, like you said, he enjoys those kind of things, and that is a rush for him. That, you know, you got to let Jeff be Jeff. I think it could have been handled better by AEW to try to slow him down a little bit instead of immediately throwing him in this match after this match after this match. And I said as much when it came to like the Darby match of just like, okay, you're just doing a lot of crazy stuff in a short period of time right now. And it's like, hey, maybe slow down and just work like a trios match that, you know, you don't have to take too many bumps and everything out there. You just don't have to do all this stuff all the time. But I think the biggest thing here is that Jeff has got to help himself when it comes to this stuff. And if he's not going to want to help himself, it doesn't matter what anybody else wants to do. We saw John Moxley. John Moxley checked himself into the program, and he looks better than ever when it comes to this stuff. If people saw Moxley like that and they tried to force it on him and it wasn't going to happen, then it wasn't going to happen. Jeff has got to help himself. Everybody can do what they can. They can all put their best foot forward. They can all take the best steps to try to help him. But if he's going to refuse this and he's just going to keep doing what he's doing, it's not really going to matter. So I hope Jeff gets the help he needs. He shouldn't be back on television. He shouldn't be back in wrestling until he does get this. And not only that, but like when he is back, it should be a slow and steady thing. I don't want to see him back and then it's like, here's Jeff Hardy in a ladder match. Don't do that. All right. Just if he's going to come back, take it slow and steady with him and just let him work. And he's got to prove himself. He's burned a lot of chances throughout his career, and he's gotten a lot of chances because he is still so popular with the crowd, but he's burned now really his biggest chance, his big last run. and he can't just come back and be like, all right, it's Jeff Hardy all over again. Let's go. Let's do this big last Hardy Boys reunion run. Like, no, you've got to take it slow with this guy. And he's got to prove that, like, he's healthy, he's clean, he's good to go, because the history is there, the pattern is there, and none of it looks good. And he is, like you said, he's very fortunate with it, as many times as this happened, that it hasn't been worse for him or somebody else. Because getting into a car, getting behind a wheel this many times with in a non-sober condition, it could have been much worse for him and for somebody else. So he's very fortunate for that. And I would hope, I would have hoped this after the first time, second time. I hope that he realizes this, and I hope that he has a wife, he has kids. Like, that should change your perspective on stuff. I know it's changed mine since I've got involved with kids. Like, yeah, I can't be doing stuff that I did as a single person, because I'm now putting my family at risk when I do these things. So you've got to change. You've got to change your habits, but it's not going to happen unless you're willing to change your own habits. And it doesn't matter how many people try to push it upon you. You've got to be willing to do it yourself. DeAndre leaves us a super chat. He says, I'm going to dip out. Thanks for the show. Hope you guys have a good rest of the show. Jeremy, you are awesome. Steven, always, you're the best. Hope you feel better soon. Thanks, DeAndre. Appreciate the support, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Jeff.
Yeah. And it's, he's like 45 years old. For wrestling, that's old, or, but like, he's still a relatively young guy. Like, I hope that he can have like a nice life after wrestling to some degree, and I honestly, I love Jeff Hardy. I really do. I hope he gets the help he needs, and I hope that he can turn this around. It would break my heart, man. It really would. It would break my heart to see the headline of, like, 45-year-old Jeff Hardy died from overdose or something. You know what I mean? Like, it would just be terrible. So I hope he gets the help he needs. I'm always going to be a Jeff Hardy fan. Even though he's made some bonehead decisions, I'm always going to support the guy to a degree. I don't support the drunk driving. Like I said, I can't stress that enough. I hate drunk driving. I think it's one of the stupidest things somebody can do. But I do hope Jeff gets the help he needs, and whether he ever wrestles again or not, like, maybe he's better off in like a backstage type role at this point, right? Like, help the next generation without having to be in the ring and take all the physical damage yourself. Like, figure something out to still be involved if you want to be involved. But, like, yeah, they got to get it figured out. This can't keep happening. Like, it's happened way too many times with Jeff, and if he wasn't such a star, he wouldn't have had this many chances. But, like, he's such a massive star in the world of wrestling that, like, he keeps getting chance after chance and company after company. I mean, let's be honest, this isn't good. This isn't the right thing, in my opinion, but this is just the honest to God truth. If AEW released Jeff Hardy and he wanted to keep wrestling, guarantee you there's promoters that would book him. So, you know what I mean? Like, 100%. So, I mean, this is what it is. Someone asked how old we are. We're both 34.
I'm 33. Don't age me, Stephen Jensen.
What month is your birthday?
September.
Okay, so I'm 34. Jeremy's 33. Yeah, we're both too old to be this invested in wrestling. That's for sure. But,
hey man, it's paying bills for me, so I'm good.
Right.
Sean Ross Sapp is saying that I'm riding around on gold scooters and everything, which is not true.
Oh, by the way, I watched most of that interview with Jared. By the way, good interview. I was working yesterday. I got zero mention during that. I just want to throw that out there. I think y'all talked about. I think they talked about everybody else ever that's worked for Fightful except for me. So
that's Sean's fault. Sean should have brought you up. That's all his fault.
It's all right. I'm not that salty about it. Just a little bit salty.
When I sit down with Jared, I will make sure to mention you, Stephen Jensen.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I there's really not much more I can add to the Jeff stuff. I'm rooting for him to turn it around, but I've also been saying that for like literally 2 decades. So, like, I hope this is the time where it works, but who knows?
In actual wrestling, like what we see on television,
Right.
What a transition there. New AEW Tag Team Champions were crowned last night in a ladder match. The Young Bucks defeated Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. And, it was originally supposed to be with the Hardys, and then everything happened with Jeff, so they got pulled from the match, and then they just did a tag team ladder match. The Young Bucks won, first ever 2-time tag team champions in AEW, and then after the bout, Christian did his big turn on Jungle Boy. I was not surprised. I was not surprised. What report in the title? What are we? It says Sasha Banks reported. Sean Ross Sapp's in here just trying to yell at us. It says
Sean, you didn't bring up an interview with Jared. You might have just missed
that.
But,
Sean.
Yeah, I think everyone else in the history of Fightful got a shout out during that show except for me. Wait, we got to put report. Wait, I don't even know what the title of our.
I don't know. Sean is just being a jerk, just coming in here. I'm surprised he didn't just pop into the chat or pop into the stream to be a jerk to us. Jungle Boy got turned on by Christian. The Young Bucks are the tag team champions. There we go. That's it. What do we got to say about this, Jensen?
Well, the Young Bucks are the tag team champions, and then also Christian turned. So this is kind of a double topic here. So
yes,
the Young Bucks, there's a definite argument that can be made for FTR being the best tag team in the world, for sure. But in my opinion, it's the Young Bucks. I'm the most entertained by the Young Bucks of any tag team. I love that they've won the tag team titles again. I thought the match was really, really good. Really enjoyed it. I think that what we're heading towards is like a giant unification match between the Young Bucks and FTR. Because there's all these belts now that are going to be on the line, especially if FTR. If they do FTR winning the IWGP tag titles at Forbidden Door, which I feel like they could potentially do, then we're looking at potentially, the Young Bucks versus the Hardys with 5 title belts on the line, which I think would be pretty cool. So yeah, I wanted to shout out the
Young
oh,
Bucks.
Sorry, what did I say?
You said the Hardys.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Young Bucks versus FTR. Yeah, and one also, speaking of the Hardys, though, this is another example. I always bring up the Sting versus Cody not happening in AEW because they felt like they had all the time in the world. The Jeff Hardy stuff is kind of along the same lines of they had all these plans for the Hardys. I think the Hardys were going to probably be the next tag team champions if this wouldn't have happened. But I feel like you just got to do stuff now when you have the chance because you have no guarantee of how long people are going to be around in your company nowadays. You just don't. But yeah, I thought the Young Bucks match or the Young Bucks winning the title was great. I thought the match was awesome, and Christian finally turned, which we've been waiting for over a year, and I thought it was really smart, really good storytelling, and it was the most obvious outcome. Christian turning on Jungle Boy was what we were all expecting to see, but in wrestling, I love that when things just make sense. They didn't need to have some big swerve and have Luchasaurus be the one to turn or Jungle Boy be the one to turn or something just for the sake of throwing us off or swerving us. They went with the obvious story, which was the right story, and they paid it off, and now we're heading towards Jungle Boy versus Christian one-on-one, and I think that it's going to be a great match. And at the end of the day, I think all of this is just a catalyst to basically getting, the whole thing, even this whole last, year of Christian being involved with Jurassic Express, the whole idea, I think, is ultimately getting Jungle Boy over more. He'll win the feud with Christian eventually. And Jungle Boy, I think, is going to go on to be a really big single star for AEW. So I think that this is accomplishing a lot, and I think it was done the right way. So the only thing I didn't like about this story, the only thing is that Marco Stunt just disappeared and Christian took his place, and there was just never any mention of Marco ever again. I feel like he got shafted so bad in his AEW run. When they put out that Jurassic Express 2-pack and didn't put him in there as a 3-pack and stuff, I got so mad about that. I'm this is they did him so dirty. But yeah. So how did you feel about it? Young Bucks winning the tag titles and then Christian turning.
I'm all for the Young Bucks winning the tag titles. I think they've been the best team in AEW and in wrestling since they've turned heel. I've really enjoyed their work from a character's perspective, and then in ring, like they've been the Young Bucks in the ring, right? But as characters, that's always when I've had my kind of gripes with them. But they're such great dickish heels, and they're trolling and everything. They're so good at that. So I've really enjoyed their heel run, and I think it is the best call to put the belts on them. It was time for Jurassic Express to lose them. It's not that their run, like from a match perspective, they were having good matches. I don't think their stories were that great because a lot of it was just like thrown together. Like, you know, I mean, just look at this year. The pay-per-view match at Revolution was a 3-way where the big story was actually Young Bucks and Undisputed Elite, right? Red Dragon, sorry. Like that was the team. It was just like, oh, Jurassic Express just thrown in here. This latest 3-way was the big story was Team FTW or Team Taz against Swerve and Keith Lee. Like they were feuding. It's like, let's just throw in the tag team titles on top of this. Like that's kind of been the stories. It felt like they were just throw into a lot of stuff. So their run was fine from a match perspective. From a story perspective, there wasn't a ton going on. And the story really was like Christian and Jungle Boy, the underlying tension with everything going on there. Christian heel turn, all for it. He's great. He's such a great dickish heel, like just smarmy little comments, like the facial expressions he gives. You know, last night he's like, you raised the piece of shit, like telling that to Jungle Boy's parents. Like he's so great at this stuff. This is a big test for Jungle Boy. And I do think he will in the ring. I'm not worried about him at all. Like he's a great in-ring wrestler. He said it before in the past that, you know, he's not comfortable on promos. We've seen him early in his AEW run. He has not been comfortable on promos. He's gotten better over the years, especially since being aligned with Christian. But this is a different test than, okay, let me cut a little backstage promo, a 2-segment or a 2-second little promo against, you know, the Ass Boys walk up or whatever. And I got Christian by my side. Jungle Boy is kind of standing on his own right now. And, you know, Luchasaurus ain't carrying no promos. Jungle Boy's standing on his own, and he's standing on his own against Christian Cage, who is one of the best when it comes to the mic. I've loved the mic work of Christian. He's one of the best. And I don't think this is going to be Christian's intention. I definitely think Christian wants to help Jungle Boy as much as possible. Christian Cage can truck people on the mic. All right. If you're not on your A game against him on the mic, you're done, because he can just eviscerate you with his comments and his looks and his expressions. I don't think that'll be his intention, but Christian's also going to be Christian, and he's going to, you know, on television, that's who he's going to be. And if Jungle Boy's not up for that challenge, it might not look great when it comes to their mic work. In the ring, I think it'll be a great match, but I do worry a little bit of how Jungle Boy is going to hold up on the mic when he's going up against Christian in some of these segments. If they do like a one-on-one type face-off, if it's just Christian does his thing, Jungle Boy does his thing, maybe it won't look so bad. But if they have like head-to-head type thing, like face-to-face type thing, it might not, Jungle Boy might not come out of that looking so great unless it's like a pre-tape thing and they can go through it. So it's a big step. It's a big step for Jungle Boy.
Do you think the Jungle Boy would be better served to have like a manager talk for him, or do you think like it's too important for him to like get over how they want him to be able to talk himself?
I think we could learn that with this feud. You know, there's a good possibility that he does hold his own. And look, he's not going to defeat Christian on the mic unless Christian just hands him some victories here. But there's a possibility that he looks fine. He does well. And it's like, oh yeah, you can see it's there with him. And there's also the possibility where it's like, okay, it's not there. He probably needs some type of mouthpiece for him. This is a big test for Jungle Boy when it comes to showing what he can do on the microphone in these segments.
See, I think this would have been like a really good role for like a Joey Janela. Like, you know what I mean? Like someone like that to like really, I know he's not in the company anymore, but I think that I like Jungle Boy a lot. I'm very impressed by him. But yeah, his promos do come across just not great usually. But hey, maybe that's going to get better. And him working with Christian, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. And I like Christian as a heel way better than as a babyface. So like this, you know, I think this accomplished a lot. And by the way, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do like a half day at work, I think, so we can go a little bit long here.
Okay.
Because I know we still got a lot of topics left, but yeah, but it's one of those things too where it's like we totally saw the turn coming for Christian, but it still hit. Like, you know what I mean? We knew it was coming, but like it still totally delivered. The payoff totally delivered last night. So, you know, good on AEW for the long-term storytelling too, and sticking to it, and not looking at the internet and seeing, oh, when's Christian going to turn? When's Christian? Oh, of course Christian's going to turn. It's a matter of time before Christian turns, and them just being like, yep, that's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah, you know.
Sometimes the best things in wrestling are the most obvious things because you're just clamoring for it, and then when it happens, like maybe you're not as surprised, but it's what works because it makes sense. A swerve to do a swerve doesn't appeal to anybody, doesn't work a lot of times, and a lot of times it'll just end up backfiring. So yeah, everyone knew it was coming, doesn't matter, still worked. And I'm very much looking forward to the heel Christian run because I love Christian. I think I've worn a Christian Cage shirt for like one of our interviews, but it was hidden. Yeah, he's been one of my favorites for a long time. So much better than that little bitch Edge. So good on Christian. Can't wait for this heel run. Cannot wait for this heel run. Others spotlight Stephen Jensen. Impact Slammiversary is this Sunday. It's one of the biggest shows of the year for Impact. They have great matches. They got the Ultimate X is back, the Queen of the Mountain, which we discussed, I believe, last week. We discussed Queen of the Mountain a little bit. And headlining is Josh Alexander against Eric Young for the Impact World title. Who cares about all that stuff? The Reverse Battle Royal is back. It's on the pre-show for some reason when it should be headlining. Not sure why it's not headlining. This is the dumbest match concept in the history of wrestling. That's probably not true, but it feels like it when you watch this, as you watch all these guys struggle to try to like climb into the ring. It's like, why can't you just get in there? This match concept is so absurd, so stupid, and yet I love it because it's right up my alley in terms of absurdity and stupidity. I love stupid shit in wrestling because wrestling overall should have stupid shit. Like it's sports entertainment, right? Like it should have some concept of dumbness. And this is clearly, I think Impact probably knows like, hey, this is sort of stupid, but it's one of those tongue in cheeks. We know it's dumb. We're just going to do it. JJ's pumping his face. We're going to do it for people like Jeremy Lambert who enjoy this kind of dumb shit. Like that's who we're going to do it for. We're going to do it for him because he's going to talk about it on the hit show, The Spotlight on Fightful. And that is why we're doing this match. So thank you, Impact. Thank you, Scott D'Amore. Gracias. Much love. Namaste. Whatever. Thank you, guys. Can't wait for Impact Slammiversary pre-show. Don't give a fuck about the pay-per-view. Pre-show. Everybody tune in.
Well, there you go. And post-show, so y'all know, this Sunday, myself and Denise Salcedo will be right here on Fightful for the post-show. I hope I feel a lot better by then. I'm supposed to be doing a lot this weekend. Like I'm supposed to be on True Heel Heat on Saturday and stuff.
Tell Denise Salcedo to quit ducking me. All right, when you talk to her on Sunday.
What do you mean? She
ignores me. She won't do shows with me. She reschedules. She just big times me. Hollywood Salcedo is always big time. She forgot where she came from. She forgot we did one NXT post show together. She forgot that when she needed someone to do Taylor Swift podcast on 5 minutes notice, she could message me and I was there for her. You know, the money should have changed her, and it did. She did forget where she came from. That's a Kanye West lyric against the Swiftie Denise Salcedo. Take that, Hollywood Salcedo.
Kick well, there you go. That all said, Sunday night, me and Denise Impact post show. So join us after Slammiversary as we break everything down. But yeah, so the Reverse Battle Royal, yeah, it's one of the dumbest match concepts for people who might not know. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's literally a bunch of people outside the ring, and like you're fighting to get into the ring. Which is really dumb.
So dumb.
It's right up there with like Feast and Fire. That's another one that I think, or Feast or Fire. I think that's like one of the worst.
Yeah, bring that back.
Because yeah, you're fighting for briefcases that might have your release contract, your release papers inside the briefcase. Yeah, there's some bad ones. I mean, even like King of the Mountain and Queen of the Mountain, like I don't think that's like the best idea. It's kind of convoluted, but like it could make for an entertaining match. I think the Queen of the Mountain has a lot of really good talent in it, so it should be good. But yeah, it's funny. I was talking to Doug on Tuesday on our show, and I was like, I didn't even know that the Reverse Battle Royal was on the card at the time. And I was joking about how bad of an idea the Reverse Battle Royal is. And then we started going through the matches, and I was like, oh shit, they're doing this on Slammiversary again? No way. So yeah, Reverse Battle Royal coming back. I don't even know. There's really not much more I can add to that. Like, I don't know who's gonna win or even make a prediction. I don't know who's in the match. I don't think they've announced.
I don't think they've announced it. Yeah, I don't think they've announced it. Chris Bay's not booked for this show, by the way, for some reason. He should be in this match. He should win it. I don't know what you win. JJ says all the Slammiversary is missing is the barbed wire Christmas tree. If they do not do a Christmas episode this year with the barbed wire Christmas tree, then this is a failure of a year for Impact. They've had a good run this year. They've done some very good stuff, all right? But it all hinges on the barbed wire Christmas tree. It all hinges with putting the Santa on top. That's what needs to happen. The tree is nice. By Christmas, they'll probably have it nicely decorated. Doesn't matter. That tree is incomplete if they don't do the barbed wire Christmas tree, which is the Santa on top of the tree. Scott D'Amore listens to this. He knows. I'll shoot him a message. You shoot him a message, JJ. I know you got a direct line to Scott D'Amore. Shoot him a message. Tell him to do the barbed wire Christmas tree, and we'll be good. Shark Boy should win the Reverse Battle Royal. I think he's wrestling at something coming up, like an AIW event or something. I should probably go to that.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
I think he's wrestling somewhat soon. Give me Scott. Give me Shark Boy. Give me D-Ray 3000. Monty Brown. The show needs Monty Brown at some point this year as well, but I think he's done out of wrestling. Just give me it's the 20-year anniversary of Impact, right? Give me all the hits from the TNA era. That's what I want. Give me the barbed wire Christmas tree.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of people they could go back to. I mean, I know even one of their matches, the TNA Originals, there's like 2 open spots. I'm hoping that winds up being America's Most Wanted. JJ says Relic. I thought about him as well. Hey, did y'all know that Relic is killer backwards?
Yeah, it's killer spelled backwards. Fun fact on that. Not many people know that.
Yeah, not many people know that. Yeah. But that was Johnny Samboli, wasn't it?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure that was Johnny Samboli. But yeah, there's a lot of options from TNA's past. I mean, that was a good shout with D-Ray 3000. I remember that guy.
Hell yeah.
Remember Jarrell Clark, 630, Jarrell Clark?
Yeah, Mr. 630. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember those early days of TNA. I love that stuff. I would love to see Shark Boy involved. He was always like an underrated worker. He just gimmick, but he was a good worker. Yeah, Shell, yeah. Stone Cold Shark Boy. That made no sense. And yeah, everyone would pop at Monty Brown. I mean, that would be.
But don't throw Monty Brown in the Reverse Battle Royal, though. He deserves way better. Put him in the world title match and finally put the belt on him after 2 decades of missing the boat on that.
They need to make a deal with the NWA to have. Oh, we'll talk about this. Is kind of a good transition, but. Because that was the belt that Monty never won, was the NWA TNA title. Like, I'd much rather see Monty Brown as the NWA champion after not wrestling for, a decade plus than what they're doing right now. Do you want to get into that now?
Yeah, we can go with that. If you don't have anything else to say about the greatest match ever, Sonny Siaki's a good shout. If you don't have anything,
oh, dude, they tried so hard to make him the Rock.
They did.
Yeah.
If we have nothing else to add on the Reverse Battle Royal, everyone watch Impact Slammiversary, just the pre-show. You can buy the pay-per-view if you want. I'm sure it'll be fine, but watch the Reverse Battle Royal rules. That's going to be my spotlight next week, is the dumb Reverse Battle Royal. Can't wait to praise it. Your other spotlight for this week is the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. It was vacated by Matt Cardona at Always Ready, and it set up a 4-way. So your suggestion, and this was almost correct, Stephen Jensen. It was almost correct. Last week, you said that, it's probably just going to be like Aaron Stevens, Trevor Murdoch winner, and that's going to face Nick Aldis for the title. at Always Ready. And it almost was. Instead, it was a 4-way match with Aldis, Murdoch, Sam Shaw, and Tom Lattimore. But Trevor Murdoch won. And so Trevor Murdoch is once again the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. They're going straight up the middle. They're trying. Murdoch, with his first run, he feuded with Mike Knox. And with this run, I don't know. The talent is what it is with NWA. It ain't there. If they had a plan, if they could get somebody in, this would have been the time. It makes me believe they just couldn't pull off anything. They either couldn't pull it off, or they are so steadfast in their belief of let's be a throwback, let's go with the old school guys, that they just weren't going to do that. And either way, it's not good. Either they couldn't get somebody, or they think this is good enough for the wrestling fans in 2022. Trevor Murdoch, I think he's good. I have no issue with him. It's not inspiring me. It wasn't inspiring me last year when he won it. It's not inspiring me. I guess it was last year. It's not inspiring me now when he gets it back.
Yeah. It just kind of shows you the state of the NWA, where like this was their best option at the time. And it's like, I've said it before, like I like Trevor Murdoch a lot more than most probably do. Like, I think he's actually perfect for the NWA brand. And he's a decent worker. Like, he's not a bad worker. But it's, Matt Cardona was a great champion for them, mainly because of his social media following and all the buzz that he brings and all the companies he works in. And you really don't get any of that with Trevor Murdoch. But to be fair, you don't get really any of that with like anyone else that's a regular performer for the National Wrestling Alliance right now. Dude, by the way, that Aaron Stevens and Murdoch match, did you see, like, I've never seen something like that happen before, where like Stevens like boot got caught in the turnbuckle when he tried to jump off the top rope, and he just like fell straight down. And it's like, this is bizarre. Like, if that really was Aaron Stevens' last match, that was a weird one to go out on, because he pretty much got like squashed by Murdoch.
Well, they had to set up Murdoch as a strong world champion.
True. I mean, that's true. I guess, even though he's been the champion before, but it's still, but here's the thing, given the circumstances, like, I don't think it would have been smart to put the belt on Sam Shaw. I don't think that it, like, we've seen Nick Aldis as a champion like long enough that I don't think it's smart to go back to that. And Tom Lattimore, I think Tom Lattimore will probably be the first challenger for Murdoch. I can see Lattimore potentially winning the title since he hasn't had it yet. But yeah, just not the most exciting kind of main event scene, unfortunately, for the NWA. But Murdoch is once again the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. I think he probably was the best option, though, if I'm being honest. Like, of all the people that like they did have access to that night, he's the one who probably does make the most sense to win the match. But where do you go from here? Like, him and Latimer just doesn't seem like that big of a deal. And then after that, like, there's just not a whole real list. And maybe when Cardona comes back, but who knows how long that'll be. So it's, yeah, not great. Not a great situation for the NWA. I mean, that whole show was kind of weird. And like Tyrus in that match with Mims, he's immobile.
Awful. He's awful. And apparently Mims got a concussion, a dislocated shoulder, an elbow injury. I don't know if this is all on Tyrus, but it's not good when this man comes out of this match with 3 injuries and Tyrus is he's moving at about 1 step per hour. Like, he is awful. And he's still, like, they kept the title on him. Things like this are just such horrible looks for the NWA. I mean, Murdoch is champion, sure, whatever. There's nothing wrong with Trevor Murdoch. Good worker, fine promo. And it's not inspiring me in 2022. But to have Tyrus on your roster, to have him as a champion, to have him in a match that goes over 2 seconds is just... it's incompetence. It's honestly incompetence as a company to try to present yourself as a good wrestling company when you have shit like that on your show. And I don't understand what they're doing. This is why they're at where they're at, and they'll probably stay where they're at, because who cares about Tyrus. No, it's not good when he's in the ring. It's not even that people don't care. Like it's fine. Like there are workers who aren't that great, but they have some type of connection or they're a good promo or something. But this man has been in the business for years, has only gotten worse, and your promotion just looks not even second rate, not even third rate. Like it looks unprofessional when you have that guy in the ring doing these things. Like it's awful. It's absolutely awful.
Its finish was terrible. He like countered like a punch into the hard punch. It was so bad.
He's terrible.
Ever the Villain mentions that, and this is true. I think that Billy Corgan likes that title belt on Fox News Daily, but the problem with that is there's a lot of the wrestling fan base that does not like Fox News. So like it is. I don't know how much this actually helps them.
Yeah, what are you gaining because the belt is on Fox News? Like, what are you actually gain? Is that what you want your company to be, the Fox News of wrestling? Like, what are you gaining by doing this? They gain nothing, and it only makes their company look worse. And he's injuring people. He's injuring people now. If Mims is, I got to put some of this responsibility on Tyrus. I don't think Mims goes out there and suffers all of this just because he's a bad worker and he doesn't understand how to take bumps and stuff. This is on Tyrus as well.
True. And Ever the Villain says, I never said Billy was smart, LMAO. That's fair. I wasn't saying that. I'm just saying that, like, I think that you're probably right about that, but like, it's about the reason, but it's like, you know, it's just, why would, I don't know why Billy Corgan would think like, of all the places, because I'm very like, I'm not a political guy like at all. I stay pretty much completely out of politics. I don't like Fox News any more than I would like CNN or whatever. I don't really have a side in any of this. I really don't like politics, but like I do know for sure that like a lot of wrestling fans are not Republican. So a lot of wrestling fans are going to be totally turned off by the idea of Tyrus. Not only being on Fox News, but like being the champion and carrying that belt on Fox News. Like it just, you know, so it just is what it is. But yeah, I thought that NWA Always Ready show was kind of a miss overall. And they did the best they could with what they had, I guess. But that's just kind of sad that they're in that kind of state of affair, I guess, with the company, that they're in a pickle. And they need to figure out something big to do with Cardona having to vacate the title. And the best they have is what we got. And it's like, man, you couldn't find like one like real star outside of this to bring in for at least a couple nights, you know, like, and obviously they couldn't because they went with what they went with. So that said, congratulations to Trevor Murdoch. Like I have nothing against him. I really don't. I'm glad that he won the title. Like I said, I think of all the options they had that night, Murdoch was the best option to win the title. Totally fine with it. But yeah, I mean, they're kind of right back to where they were. I mean, Murdoch was the champion before Cardona was, and you know, they're just kind of right back to where they were.
And we'll see with the NWA. Look, I can't possibly care about the company, honestly.
And you cover it, right? You're the one putting the results up for...
No, I used to for a while. No, and then I made somebody else do it. I used to watch it. I used to like watch the show live. Like I would watch the show as it was airing, and then I finally got smart about things and decided not to do that. It's tough sledding for that company. It really is. Cardona felt like a little bit of a shot in the arm because Cardona can sell himself, and he's going to take that belt everywhere. Murdoch, it did not inspire me in 2022. Well, good luck. Straight up the middle with Billy Corgan. Indie Spotlight, Stephen Jensen. John Moxley, Speedball, Mike Bailey headlined Wrestling Revolver Stranger Things on Saturday. And I thought this match ruled. Speedball adds another one to his match of the year candidacy, his wrestler of the year candidacy, his match of the year resume. Moxley, it was a kind of a clash of styles going into it. Like when you look at these two guys, Speedball he's going to work at his pace, right? Very fast paced. Moxley a little bit more methodical, a little bit more grinding, a little bit more gritty. It's like, oh, how's this going to work out? And it worked out just fine because these two are excellent professional wrestlers. Moxley was able to slow down Speedball a little bit. And, Moxley can work a technical game as well, as he showed in this match. And Speedball, when he sped things up, it worked to his advantage. They went out into the crowd. Speedball did the dive off of the speaker system and everything. And then I love the finishing stretch where Moxley hits the knee and Speedball just fires up and hits the kick, and then the rebound clothesline, Gotch style pile driver, dirty deeds, Rough Rider, whatever he calling it nowadays. That was the end of it. But just another excellent match from these guys. And John Moxley, when he does these independent shows, man, if you're not watching this guy on these shows, I really think you're missing out on something special, because his presence when he goes to these shows, he is treated like the biggest star in the world. He acts like the biggest star in the world. There's just a different energy when he is on these shows. And Speedball, I mean, like I said, he's my wrestler of the year. It's tough to look at this guy and all in his resume this year and be like, yeah, this guy hasn't put in the best matches in 2022. I don't know if he's going to win it, because outside of Impact, like, he hasn't had the most like high profile matches, television wise. He hasn't had that like standout match on television on pay-per-view. But if you look at top to bottom this year, it's going to be tough to deny this man.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He had a really good, that triple threat X Division match on the last Impact pay-per-view. I want to say maybe it was the last Impact Plus show. I can't remember, but he's had some really good matches in Impact. But I know what you mean. Like it's cool because it's like Speedball, kind of outside the mainstream. I think he's wrestler of the year. And then like within mainstream, I think that there's like a real case that could be made for John Moxley. So like you kind of have like the top of the mainstream right now versus like the top of the indies, if you want to call it that. And so, yeah, it's kind of a dream match. I mean, Speedball, ever since he's been able to get back in the United States, he's been on just an absolute run. I mean, I know that Fightful put up a tweet a little while back, just like a week or so ago, about like mid-year awards, pretty much like best wrestler of the year and best match and so on and so forth. And I put Speedball as wrestler of the year up to this point. But I also, obviously, I watch a lot of independent wrestling, but like I think that Speedball has been can't miss. And Moxley, I feel the same way, but whether it be, and here's the thing, Moxley in the mainstream, when it comes to AEW, he's that guy for sure. And with New Japan, but on the indies, he's killing it. Like wherever he shows up, obviously he's still the GCW champion, and he's done Bloodsport and a whole bunch of indie shows. And that's really when he's like in his element. It feels like because he's doing that for the love of the game. Like,
yeah,
I have no idea what he gets paid to do those shows, but at the end of the day, he doesn't need the money. Like, he makes millions wrestling for AEW. Like, he doesn't need to do this stuff, and he loves it. And that's why I think that it's really unlikely he'd ever go back to the WWE, because he wouldn't be able to do any of this other stuff that he gets to do outside of AEW. And I feel like I'm sure he loves AEW, like with the crowds and the viewership and all that stuff. But I feel the way that I feel about it, I feel like he's way more in his element on the indies. Like, he's really kind of feeling himself, and he's really, I don't know. It's cool because he's, like you said, he's always treated like it's a really, really big deal, and it's really special, and we're all really lucky to have him on these other indie shows. So, yeah, him and Speedball. I mean, I love both guys. I can't say enough good things about both of them. And yeah, when it comes to like AEW, I think John Moxley is way up there as wrestler of the year right now. When it comes to the indies, I think it's probably Speedball right now. And Moxley is kind of in both worlds once again, because he does wrestle a lot of indies and GCW champion and stuff. But like, yeah, just awesome stuff from both guys, as you'd expect. But keep giving me these dream matches. Just keep giving me people I want to see wrestle each other. Like, that'll keep me happy all day. Like, whether I like what's going on in the WWE or not, which usually I don't nowadays, unfortunately, and whether, whatever's going on in Impact or, AEW almost always hits, though, if I'm being honest. But like, I always know I've got the indies, and like Speedball is Dude, like his match with Ninja Mac a few months ago was incredible. Like where they like did that bump off the Mortal Kombat style like crane kick bump off the. I mean, it's just, I'm a very big fan. And y'all could actually listen. We interviewed Speedball a while back here on the show. If you missed it, super nice guy as well. So, big fan of Mox, big fan of Speedball for sure. And I think Speedball might win the X Division title this Sunday. I think it's possible.
Yeah, he's going to be an Ultimate X, and I do think this could be a big for his Wrestler of the Year candidacy because it is a big match on a high profile show. The problem with it is like it's Ultimate X, and there's a lot of guys in it, and so usually you need that like standout television like singles match to really kind of put you over. Ultimate X with so many guys, it's hard to just be like, oh yeah, Speedball was the reason this match was so great, but he's built up enough goodwill and enough of a resume this year. It's like, oh yeah, Speedball's in this. It's great for that reason and plenty other factors when it comes to the talent that is in this match. And as Raven Johnson points out, Mike fought Konosuke Takeshita. I'm going to mess that up, but he fought him day before. Yeah, he fought him at WrestlePro. Or West Coast Pro, West Coast Pro the day before. And I've not seen that match, but I would imagine that was an absolute banger of a match as well. So I'm probably going to have to check that out very soon.
JJ said Speedball's live on Twitch watching old Ultimate X matches to prepare himself. That's awesome.
He said I was listening to an interview he did with Kieran, our pal Kieran, who does the New Japan podcast on Fightful Overbooked. He did an interview with him, and he said that like Speedball will go on Twitch and he'll like watch matches of upcoming opponents. So I guess last week like he was watching John Moxley matches to prepare for the match with John Moxley. And yeah, I guess this week he's probably watching Ultimate X matches to prepare. Like he does his research, he does his homework, and I'm sure he doesn't want to go in there and be like, oh, okay, let's just do like a typical John Moxley match where you do all your stuff and that's that. Like every other John Moxley match we've seen. I'm sure like part of this is like, okay, what can I do differently that we haven't seen in this matches? What can you do differently that you haven't done before in these matches either? So that's what you should do as a wrestler. Honestly, you don't just want to keep having the same match over and over again with these guys. You want to stand out, do something different, bring something different to the table. And like, oh, you've seen one John Moxley independent match against this guy. You've seen them all. You want to have a different style. Ultimate X, it's tough to be innovative in these matches because they've had so many. Watch them all, be like, oh, I could possibly do this here. We've never seen that before. Let me try to do that. So it's great. Speedball is a real student of the game, and you can see it in just how many different matches he's had against how many different wrestlers and how much they differentiate from each other.
I think it'd be cool. It'd be very sketch, and I don't know if he'd want to go for this or not, but like, I think it'd be pretty badass if he like did the Ultimate Weapon like from hanging off the thing, like off the wire. Like if he did the swing and like swung himself around into the Ultimate Weapon and landed on someone, I think that'd be pretty cool. But that's also sketchy. Like it's a lot could go wrong going for that. But yeah, dude, I can't wait. That's gonna be awesome. And that's cool too. Like I know there's a lot of wrestling fans that like discover Speedball through Twitch. Like I hadn't even seen him wrestle before, and then they see him on Twitch, and then they start watching his matches, and yeah, very very big fan of Speedball Mike Bailey.
Your indie spotlight for this week, Stephen Jensen. You're at Battle Slam on Sunday. How'd that go?
It went really well. It was a really fun show. Afterwards, I got some audio interviews with Baron Black and Adam Priest. You transcribed part of the Baron interview, so if y'all want to see I don't know when the audio will be uploaded.
I just saw that the Adam Priest audio just went up. The Adam Priest audio just went up. I don't know when the Baron Black audio will go up. I'm gonna run something from the Adam Priest audio at some point, and I'm gonna run one more off of the Baron Black audio went up on Tuesday. June 14th. So if you go to Fightful Select, you can hear those interviews. Yeah, I did run the Baron Black talking about being rock bottomed by Little Scrappy. I'll run more from that. Obviously, it's been a crazy week in wrestling, and I don't want everything to just get lost in, hey, we're not finding this because all this other stuff is happening. So a lot of stuff when it comes down to like article writing and timing of when we release a lot of this stuff comes down to like when when will it actually stand out?
Sure, 100%. So I didn't even know that. I've been so out of the loop, just feeling sick and stuff, that I hadn't even looked. So so awesome. So those are on Fightful Select. Wonderful. So yeah, I got to talk to both those guys after the show. I didn't record, but like I talked to Zenshi for a second. He was like a really, really nice dude. Private Party was really nice. Got to just say hey to them real quick. Shook Isaiah Quinn's hand, or Isaiah Cassidy's hand, and he was super nice. And Mark Quinn was cool. And like I got to hang out with Muscle Man Malcolm again, so that was fun.
Nice.
Always good to see him. Yeah, I mean, it was a really good show from top to bottom. Baron Blackett and Rock Bottom, my little Scrappy, was wild. Just a little Scrappy in general, coming out and like performing like Headbuster and Get on My Level and all that kind of stuff. Like that was awesome. Like it really was. The crowd was really into it. I hope it came across well on Fight TV, because it aired live this time on Fight, and I know there was a couple hiccups that Baron was mentioning to me when we were talking, but yeah, really damn good show. I recommend checking out the replay if you missed it. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm trying to think of some stuff that like really stood out. Tasha Steelz and Queen Amanita rather was really, really good. I think that the Queen is like really under the radar, like really like a ton of potential, like could be a massive mainstream star in my opinion. I like her a lot. And Tasha keeps getting better too. Like she's already really damn good. And this was one of the best matches I've seen her have, if I'm being honest. Like especially live. I've seen her live a few times. I really liked what I saw out of the two of them. That really stood out. Seeing the Workhorsemen in this element was really cool. There was a lot of just really damn good stuff. So yeah, I mean, seeing Private Party live, seeing Dante Martin live, just really, really good show. And I'm already looking forward to Battle Slam 3, because we got Battle Slam 3 that'll happen. And then there's also Terminus 3s in the works also. So like, there's a lot of really good stuff coming to Atlanta. Then we already have Action Wrestling, which is out of Tyrone, Georgia, which runs consistently on IWTV. So, but yeah, I mean, it was wild. It was wild. It was a fun night. I love that venue, that Oasis Event Center. I think works really well for them. And yeah, if you want to know more about my experience there, Baron's experience, Adam Priest's experience, please check those audio interviews out over at Fightful Select. And as the articles come out that get transcribed, please check those out, because that's the reason I do that stuff. I stayed about an hour or so after the show, just so I would be able to get some interviews, just for a little extra content for y'all. So that's why I do it. I don't do it for any kind of personal gain or anything like that. I do it because I'm trying to help promote the talent, promote the shows, and give you guys who follow us over at Fightful. I just want to give you all some extra content. So I do really appreciate when people give me feedback, and especially if they like the stuff. And if you don't, that's okay too. Let me know, and
punch them in the face if they don't like it. Stephen Jensen, you're a man of the people.
I'm okay with constructive criticism, though. I really am. Like, if there's something I can be doing better, I'd like to know. And maybe there isn't, but it's one of those things where I appreciate the feedback, I appreciate the support, and because of y'all really like being interested and caring, that's what kind of allows me to like get into these shows and stuff too, like inform these relationships with these wrestlers and stuff. So like it means a lot to me as a lifelong wrestling fan that I get to interview these guys and girls and people of non-binary. Doesn't matter to me what gender you are. You know what I mean? Like I if you're into wrestling, we can be friends. I guarantee it. So yeah, I appreciate going to Battle Slam. I appreciate Baron's hospitality and like getting me in and everything, like he always does. He's the man. And yeah, I hope you guys check the interviews out. And once again, if you missed Battle Slam Fight for ATL, please check it out on Fight TV. I think you'll really enjoy the show.
God, what an emotional speech from Stephen Jensen there. That was tremendous.
Part of that is I'm like this. I feel like I'm floating right now because of like how just sick I've been. So like I realized about halfway through that I was like, this is getting kind of way deeper than I meant.
Yeah, very deep. Jensen just went into another landscape there, another time and space on that one. That was emotional. I almost cried on that one, Stephen Jensen.
Aww.
The man said it doesn't matter who you are. If you like wrestling, we can be friends. I'll be an asshole. I don't think Stephen Jensen wants to be friends with an asshole, even if you like wrestling. But anything else, you can be friends with Stephen Jensen, connected through wrestling. Support what Stephen Jensen does. All right. He does go to these shows. We get decent access at these shows, but Jensen does not have to do interviews. He doesn't have to stay late. We don't have to post them or transcribe them or anything like that. And we're able to do that because of the work that Stephen Jensen does by going to these shows. So please continue to support the work that he does, not only on this show, but on Fightful Select and anywhere else that Stephen Jensen is at. My God, this emotion. You need some sleep. You do need some sleep. You sound a little delirious.
I'm gonna sleep for like a solid. So I told my boss, I was like, I'm gonna try to come in at 4 or get online at 4 to try to work a half day, but she already said, like, if you're feeling too sick, it's okay to take the day. But I'm going to try. I'm going to, the only reason I'm even like as conscious as I am right now is because this past night was so miserable, dude. Like I was just sweating, and I don't want to get into the specifics, but I was just sweating and just getting sick and just couldn't stay asleep. So it was just one of those things where like, I just couldn't really sleep. So I'm getting to that level of like delusional right now, just like sleep deprived. And I'm finally starting to get a little bit tired. So like, I'm going to definitely go to sleep for a solid like 3 hours or so right after this, which I'm really looking forward to. But speaking of looking forward to, and I appreciate all the love in the chat. I always see y'all. And by the way, I want to let people know, I always see your comments on FightfulSelect.com. I just stay logged in on the Fightful account because it's a lot easier, because I upload the Weekender myself on there. So I don't usually interact with the comments because I don't want it coming from the Fightful account and like misrepresenting like Fightful, but I always see them. So I want y'all to know, I always see your comments, and even in the chat, like, even though we only pull up the super chats for the most part, I always see your comments in here. I appreciate y'all. It's a dream, man. It's really a dream come true. I know we don't talk about this enough, how fortunate we are, but like the fact that like we get a platform like this to talk about wrestling is just, it's awesome. It really is. And if there's anything positive I can do with this platform to help other people, like that's, why not? Like why wouldn't I want to do that? So yeah, appreciate y'all.
Guys, we have an interview with Dad. This was
this is a great interview
special here. I do love this interview. He was great. We cover a lot of different things from his big win at Creator Clash, where he's smoking fools with hooks to the body and head. His time in wrestling, which dates back, you may have seen him pop up in GCW alongside John Morrison, on AEW Dark alongside John Morrison, but it dates back to before that, training with Rikishi. Comments from Vince McMahon about his work, potential future on what he's going to do. He calls out Danhausen. He says mean things about Hook. Like the man is not afraid. Dadbot is not afraid. So we're gonna throw to our interview with Dad. This is one of my favorite interviews we've done. I feel like I say that every single week, but this one really one of the best interviews we have done. So shout out to Dad. You can follow him on Twitter at DadFeels. And here we go. Gonna go to our interview with Dadbot. Dadbot, everybody.
Welcome to the creator spotlight of the Spotlight. This is the interview portion of our show. I'm Stephen Jensen, as always, with Jeremy Lambert. And today we have joining us, he is the man who won in 22 seconds at the opening match, the opening fight of Creator Clash. He is a man who we've been seeing pop up at pro wrestling events with John Hennigan, a.k.a. John Morrison, a.k.a. Johnny, every name you can think of. Y'all know who we're talking about. He is the best pop star and the best boxer in the universes. We're joined by Dad. How's it going, man?
Hello. It's going great. How are you guys?
We're doing great, man. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you.
Before we get in, before we get into it, we know you're on tour right now for the game with the Game Grumps. How's that been going? Let people know what's been going on with that.
It's been insane. It's been a real wild. The past 2 months have been very insane. I'm in the middle of a parking lot in Tennessee. I can't pronounce the name. I'm in Dollywood. You know Dollywood, Dolly Parton's theme park.
My God,
It's
Dollywood.
down the street. So that's where I am. I'm near Dolly Parton's theme park in a parking lot down the street from the tour bus, and it's been crazy. Basically, I went from Creator Clash, the boxing event, and straight to Las Vegas the next weekend with John for AEW and GCW. And then when I was about to jump in the ring, Aaron from the Game Grumps was like, "You want to go on tour with us?" And I was like, "Yes." So then I went right on tour with them starting in Seattle. And now I'm here. And we go until the very last day of the month. And I finally get to go home to Town, USA on July 1st. So it's been wild. And every night I'm like jumping off the balcony, like dropping in. I'm doing front flips and jumping into the audience off like really big stages. I just got out of off the bus, and I'm just like tight and cramped and a mess, but it's been very fun. So that's what's been happening. So if it's a little loud and weird, it's because I'm in a parking lot.
No, this is awesome. Yeah, man, as you just mentioned, you got a lot going on right now. And, just as a fan of what y'all did for Creator Clash, I honestly, dude, I watch all the TikToker versus YouTubers. I watch Aaron Carter versus Lamar Odom. I watch all the Jake Paul fights. I watch all of it, right? I watch Skinny from the 9 and Supreme Patty and all these guys fight. Creator Clash was by far, I think, the best event I've ever seen for boxing that was like in that realm. And
definitely.
And, you're a big part of that because you're the opening fight. And going into that, people didn't really know what to expect. Like, we knew who was going to be on the show, but we didn't know what any of y'all would look like as boxers. And you really showed out to open that show up. What was that experience like?
Yeah. Well, so I have a couple things to say about that. One, I read every single comment and I heart every single comment on my channel. And then I often go and I read everyone else's comments on their uploads about the match, and I'll respond to a lot of people because I'm very interested in what people have to say. And the first thing I'll say about my fight was I didn't love my form. I didn't love how I looked, but I was also pretty happy with it. My coaches told me from day one, they go, "You're never going to look good. It's not going to happen. Don't worry about looking good." He goes, "It's 6 months of training and then you're going into a fight." He goes, "Most fighters fight for 3 years, then they go into a fight. And even then it looks bad." So he's like, let go of trying to look good. Because the thing is, when I'm boxing and I'm sparring and I'm hitting the bag, it looks good. I'm tight. My form is perfect because I'm concentrating each punch the right way on each hit. And it's like picture perfect, for someone brand new. So then when I got in there, it was like a brawl. And I was like, what am I doing? I looked at the footage. I was like, what the heck? I was just kind of like swinging. And there's a lot of comments about that. Like, what are these guys doing here? They're making boxing look stupid. These guys don't know how to fight. And I respond to all of those. And I try to be very logical and not too much of a hater. But it's like, I've only trained for 6 months. And like, I never punched anything before that. And I feel I did all right. So that's all I wanted to say in the beginning, I guess, to defend myself against all the haters out there. But boxing is very hard. It's gnarly. And fortunately, I didn't get punched during my fight, but during sparring, I was getting punched by guys who were really good, and I never go down and I never stop punching. So I'm very much looking forward to the next fight where I can prove that. I literally, if you want, actually, there's a video on my page called Never Stop Punching, and it's my coaches and I trained, because my fight was 5 2-minute rounds. So we trained 10 3-minute rounds, and I literally do not stop punching the whole time. Even if someone's punching me, I block when I need to, but I'm throwing way more punches than my opponent. So I like over prepared, and I really want to be able to show that, because a lot of people are saying about my fight, oh, this guy's going to gas out. Oh, he only went 22 seconds, but he wouldn't have been able to do 30 seconds. That's not true, because I can go, no joke, like a half an hour and not stop punching. So I just wanted to say that to all the haters. I read all your comments, but it was amazing. Creator Clash is everyone's saying it's the new standard in YouTube boxing, and that like if other events don't look as good and as classy and respectful as Creator Clash, it's like a joke. And that's how I felt about YouTube boxing a little bit. It is a joke in a way, because it's like, you know, goofballs trying to be fighters, and they're trying to act tough and look like, you know, hard dudes and like be these like crazy fighters. But like, we play video games, and, you know, we do streams, we play Among Us, and we're playing like Fortnite, for crying out loud. Like, we're all nerds. So act like you're yourself and be who you are. But if you package it and present it professionally and cleanly, and then own up to who you are in the ring, I think it makes sense, and people can accept it and digest it in a way that's more palpable, I guess. And also, I think it was really smart of Ian and Anissa to incorporate pros into the event. Like, pro boxers there was 4 pro boxers there who opened and closed the show. I don't think everyone who watched the pay-per-view saw that, but like, it was really cool to see these pros go in the ring before us, and we're all watching them. We're like, these guys are legit killers. They were scary, and it was cool to be on a card with them. It made us feel kind of like, you know, cool. And then they were all talking to us. They loved it because it was like, this is the biggest audience they've ever had, and they've been boxing most of their lives. So I think it was like a kind of a nice understanding between worlds of like, thank you for letting us be in here. And then they're like, dude, please let us come back to more, because we'd love to box in front of this audience. We're fortunate to have big audiences, but we're not good boxers. So it's a little bit of an even trade, I guess, when you have them on the card. So sorry, that's my big rant about Creator Clash. It was the greatest night of my life, and I hope to do it again very soon and show people that I can actually throw down.
Well, there was just a heavyweight boxing fight that I saw. It was a WBA, I believe, title fight that just happened this past weekend, and they maybe had 300 people there. Y'all legit had like a 12,000 seat sellout.
Yeah, it was crazy. And you know how like in a boxing event, like no one really shows up until the co-main event and sits in their seats, so they don't show up until like Tyson Fury gets in there. Well, that's what Matt and I were worried about. We were worried like, oh, no one's gonna be in there for the first fight. But then I said, well, these people don't go to boxing events. They're paying for the whole show. So hopefully they do show up. And it was crazy. When I walked out, every seat was filled, and it like really charged me up. I was so ready to go because it was so loud. I'd done a couple of things. I did a thing for the Miami Dolphins cheerleaders in front of 70,000 people one time. And it was the craziest night of my life. This was even crazier, but I was used to the crowd because of being these big crowd things. So it got me pumped up, but being in the ring and being like the main show was awesome. And Creator Clash is it is by far the standard in YouTube boxing, I feel now.
Yeah, I think that Ian and Anissa, like, they really should be proud of what they put together, and all of y'all should be too for the performances. I got one more question real quick before Jeremy. I know you got to get some questions in as well, but I'm such a big fan of what y'all accomplished at this show. One thing that I thought was really cool, and you alluded to this just a second ago, was the vibe was totally different, because I heard Ian talk about it while talking about the event as well, how he was trying to match people up that they weren't like mortal enemies with one another. Like I watched Harley from Epic Meal Time. His whole docuseries is put up on YouTube. Yeah. And the day of the fight, y'all are all hanging out together like the whole day. And like, that's so not normal in sport, I know. Like boxing.
My coaches didn't like it. My coaches were like, no, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, and I kept saying to them, I was like, Matt's my friend. And he goes, no, he's not. He's not your friend. Because I did mention him a while ago, my coach, I was like, I might feel a little weird about punching him, because Matt is texting me all this stuff about like, oh, I had a broken nose before, my feet are crooked, I can't stand up straight. And I was like, oh my God, he's like a mess, he's never gonna be in a fight. And I was actually thinking like, oh, I kind of feel bad punching him. And that's what my coach wanted me to avoid. And that's why boxers don't talk and hang out, because you need to go in there to kill the person, and you can't do that when it's like, it's my friend, I'm gonna hang out with him later. It is strange.
I mean, once you guys got in the ring, it didn't look like you had any remorse. Punch it, you're going body head, you're mixing it up. Like,
yeah.
You know, you were criticizing your performance like I didn't look good. And I mean, look, you're not a professional boxer. You said you had 6 months training, so you're not going to be throwing jabs and using like this very high tech footwork and everything. But just mixing up body head was pretty impressive for somebody who hasn't been doing this long. Once they get into the ring, a lot of time it is just a lot of flailing and stuff. So I think you should give yourself more credit than you were of how you actually looked.
I am a little hard. I know I'm a little hard on myself, but like I think like what the commenters think. I think the same thing. I think I want to see someone get knocked out. I want to see really good hits. I want to see real good blocking because I'm used to watching boxing. But then you have to let go a little bit because these aren't boxers. It's like watching two mailmen get in the ring and fight, or two professionals from so far away from boxing. You can imagine that's what we are. But I am aware of what people will say, and that's what I was thinking about. Our whole plan was to go straight to the body and to the head because I watch so many YouTube boxing events and no one ever goes to the body. And it's like, why? Body hurts way more than head. I can take punches all day to the head. If it's to the jaw, it's different. But to the head, like, I do not care. But if you one hit to the solar plexus and you're like done, it knocks the wind out of you, no matter how big you are. So that was our plan, was like go to the body, bend him over, clock him in the head. Try to do it like real quick. So I just kept going up, down, and he a new boxer can't move that fast. You can't block. Your elbows just don't go where they need to go. So yeah, it worked out. The plan worked. We were lucky and fortunate. But hopefully the next fight goes the same way.
I think, Mike Tyson has the quote of everybody has a plan until they get hit. And I think everybody has a plan when they're just like watching it on television. Jensen's a big MMA fan as well. And you watch these guys like, oh yeah, like just hanging out with your friends and whatnot. I could easily pull this off and I could do this. And you get in there and you like train, or you're just in there, you actually get in there like you did. And it's a completely different ballgame. Like, wait a second, what am I supposed to do here? How does Anderson Silva make this look so easy? Huh? What's happening? So again, just kudos to you for just getting in there in the first place. Cause that takes a lot of balls to actually just train for 6 months and get in there and do that. I do want to move on to some wrestling stuff. GCW with John Morrison. You said you were hanging out with him at AEW as well. Talk to me about the relationship with Morrison and how you guys got linked up and how all this stuff came together.
I've known John for like 10 years or more now. There's a lot of old videos on YouTube with us. I forget how we met. It might have been through like Dolph Ziggler, because I'm friends with him as well. I'm friends with like a lot of Xavier Woods. Been friends with him for a long time. I was on Up, Up, Down, Down. I just kind of became friends with some wrestlers. Vince McMahon, I did some stuff with WWE. Vince McMahon was a big fan of me. And at one point I was told by a guy at WWE that Vince watched a video with me. They watched it together, and Vince said, we got to get this guy on Raw. And it was like the nerdy guy that was like, it surprises you and can actually like do a couple moves, but then ultimately takes a bump and looks like an idiot. That was like my role. And then 2 months later, Ellsworth got hired, and I was super ticked because that was like my job, I feel. But then he jobbed one night and, got the role. So Vince knows who I am. Vince tweeted one of my videos because I tried out for Tough Enough. This was after I sort of met Dolph. I started a feud with Dolph Ziggler, and that's what started a lot of this off. And he loved it, and we went back and forth. And WWE hired me for some like internet promo type stuff and, little videos here and there. So I got in, I become friends with people. John and I hit it off. We became pretty good friends. So we've done a lot of stuff over the years. That's why he was there at the fight with me. I wanted my whole presentation to look like a wrestling promo and match. Like, Dad's this unhinged guy. He's crazy. He's ready to kill. I have a 6'7" friend behind me, Bob. Big Bob is his name. He had the body bag with Matt's name on it. It was a little hard to see because there was so much going on. And then John and Giant Bob. I was like, okay, this looks like a 1980s promo. So, and then I had my two coaches, and I wanted everyone had matching gear with the Dad logo, and it said the Quantum Fist on the arms. I wanted everyone to look like a team and like have a good presentation. And we come out to my song, which is also on my entry song, which is called Obliterate. It's one of my new songs. Corey Graves sings on it. So there's a lot going on in the wrestling world during my fight that maybe not everyone knew about. Matt Pat, who's a real big YouTuber, him and Corey Graves sing on that song that I entered to. So John and I have been doing a lot together. And then the next weekend or 2 weekends later, John was like, hey, let's do GCW and you can be my corner man. I was like, that's perfect. Sounds good to me. And I got in the mix a little bit with Joey Janela, the naughty boy, the bad boy. And I had to set him straight. I took the belt off at one point. He almost got it. He didn't get it that night. He really screwed me, throwing me through that door. But I think we might have a rematch coming up. So I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna set him straight. Taking the belt's coming off, Joey.
Yes. Oh man. Well, so speaking of GCW,
so, yeah, that was my wild month with John.
that's amazing. Well, you did AEW Dark also, right? Like you came out at the end of that show.
Oh yeah, and then AEW happened. I forgot. Oh yeah, I was in AEW. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, I was there. I was there just hanging out with John, and then John ran the idea by Tony, and about me coming in the ring and like dancing at the end to sort of celebrate with him. And Tony's like, "Yeah, let's do it." Tony saw a video of me, and I was thinking, "Oh my God, no one is going to know what the heck's going on. This is going to be so confusing for like the wrestling fans that don't know me." Like a couple of people did know who I was, but like it did not register on camera. That was when we were walking up the ramp. People were like, "Dad, I saw you're the Quantum Father." Like they knew the YouTube whole bit. So that was crazy. I got in the ring with John, danced around for a bit, made it on dark. Then after the upload cuts, what you don't see is we walked up the ramp and met Tony Khan, who closes the show at the end of the night. And I shook Tony's hand, and Tony goes, "Dadbot, very nice. Nice to meet you." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm at the top of the ramp with Tony Khan." And then John, he gives the mic to John, and John says, "This is Dadbot, fastest YouTube TKO and fastest TKO in YouTube boxing history, 22 seconds." And everyone like cheered. And then Tony again said, "Congratulations, Dadbot." And Tony's like, "This is so weird and so confusing." But it was amazing, a great moment for me in my life, just be standing at the AEW ramp and even in the ring. And I know all about the wrestling world, and I know what it can be like for another person in the indies who's like, "Oh, who is this dude coming in and gets to go on the ring?" I want everyone to offend anyone or make anyone feel like, I'm stepping on toes. So I try to be very respectful in the wrestling world because it's not my world. But then John was like, "No, this is your world." He goes, "You've been doing this for like 12 years now." So I was like, "Okay, yeah, I guess so." But anyway, I did train with Rikishi, so I have done training. I have been around for a while. So anyway, it was amazing and I loved it. And hopefully the wrestling fans, although I will say the wrestling fans, I was gonna say, hopefully they enjoyed it. But if you go to that dark upload on YouTube, it's literally 3,000 comments all about Dad. It's pretty weird. It's pretty bonkers. So people did seem to know who I was in the YouTube comments. So yeah, there you go.
Dude, that's amazing. Something I tweeted during your GCW appearance was that and you actually responded to it, which actually led me to DMing you about doing this today, was my dream match for you is you versus Early Morning Guy Steele from GCW. I think that is a fantasy matchup, and you seem down.
Oh, I'm 100% down. I honestly want to I'm coming for Danhausen. Danhausen and I have known each other for about a year and a half now, and we're friendly, but he's been a little naughty too, putting curses on people, and Dadbot doesn't like that. So he's got to set him straight as well. But Guy Steele is, I don't know if Michael Myers is under there or who, but that guy is nuts and is probably actually a dead person because I don't know how he can survive wrestling in that whole getup. And I don't know how he can see and breathe and not sweat. So I'm afraid of Guy Steele, but I am down to get in the ring with anybody. So morning Guy Steele, let's go.
How do you survive a Danhausen curse, though? This man's cursed everybody, and it hasn't worked out for them. Like, what is your plan if Danhausen's going to curse you?
Well, he's cursing humans. He's cursing mortals. My name is Dadbot from Town, USA. I was built in a facility. There's thousands of us. He curses me if it works on me, which it won't because I got a CPU up here that I have the Prime OS. Unhackable. You can't hack this Prime operating system. If he even tried to and was somewhat successful, there's thousands more Dadbots. I'm Dadbot -2. No one can stop me. Dad doesn't stop and will not stop. So try all you want, Dan. You're gonna have to do a little you're gonna have to do some downloading onto your floppy disks to find the right code to take me down.
Well, he's got hook though. That's true. He's got hook though.
Yeah, he's got hook. Hook though. He's got that little boxing boy. I can show him a thing or two too.
There you go.
Come get in the ring with me. I don't know if hook is supposed to mean like left or right hook, but he can't handle a quantum hook.
That's about the best answer I think could possibly give. I want to see all these matchups now. Dad, I know you're very locked in on the wrestling world. I knew you'd be a fan, but you're actually much more plugged in than I expected. How long have you been watching wrestling, and what are kind of some of your favorite like wrestlers like throughout your fandom?
Well, so I was built in 2018, so I'm technically only 4 years old. But I have the memories of Nathan Barnett, who is an actor, and he's a big wrestling fan. He's been watching since he fell out of his mom in 1981. So I'm a big fan of all wrestling everywhere, anywhere I can see, I will watch it. But obviously WWF, WWE in the old days, WCW, New Japan. Now AEW is the place now. It's like the premium wrestling. So that's what I've been watching mostly. So
who are your favorites? Like who are Nathan's favorites growing up?
Ultimate Warrior, 100%. I did a little bit of rope shaking in my after my fight, after that Creator Clash, just to I get so much. I liked him not even because of wrestling. I mean, like, no wrestlers were really good in the 80s. It was all the same thing. But his presentation and his energy, like that, I get the same energy. Like, I get so hyped up when I'm like going out and to perform. So that's how I felt very much going out to my event. And everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna gas out. You're gonna gas out if you dance too hard to the ring." And I was like, "No, it's literally impossible. I will never gas out. I only eat vegetables. I'm strict vegetarian. I'm trying to be very healthy, very clean, only water. Don't drink the wonky water very often." So it's all natural, and I have a lot of it. So, and I'm built and modeled after a 41-year-old man, after Nathan, and it's a good model. It's a good base. 41-year-old angsty man that does the trick. So yeah, Ultimate Warrior. His energy is what I loved. I loved him. And he was just so mysterious. But current fan of Danhausen, big time. And Finn Balor, always been a big fan of the Prince Devitt. So, yeah, I like a lot of them. I like this people in every organization that I'm a fan of.
You mentioned you trained with Rikishi. Did you ever take a stink face?
I did, and there's footage of it.
Oh.
There is if you search Keith is tough enough on YouTube, that is cute. Well, so I have the memories of Nathan. Gets a little convoluted, but I Dadbot have the memories of Nathan getting the stink face as Keith Apicary. Some people might be watching this and go, "That guy looks like Trevor Phillips. That guy looks like the Skittles guy. That guy looks like Keith Apicary." Yeah, I know. I look like a lot of crazy people on the internet, but my name is Dadbot, and that's who you're looking at and talking to right now.
So I'm watching this right now. Yeah, I'm watching this right now. You're you're taking chair shots to the head from
Yep.
Keith is taking chair shots.
Keith Apicary is. Yep.
Yes. And then you're in there with Rikishi. Your gear is, and here comes the stink face.
The Tidy Whities.
Yes, I was saying, who did your gear? What gear maker did you go to?
that was CVS Pharmacy. You can buy packs of underwear there for $6. The trick is to double up and wear two. You gotta wear 2 pairs so you don't show too much shape of your glorious body. So I also think I'm so surprised that no wrestler has ever worn tidy whities in the ring. It's so funny. So Keith Apicary is he's an entrepreneur.
The trendsetter.
He's changing the wrestling game.
I mean, Danielson, his shirt nowadays, his custom shirt is just a Hanes white T-shirt. That's all.
Yeah, it looks like he's got T-shirt, no undies when he comes out to the ring.
Yeah,
it always hangs like just in the right spot where it's like, is he wearing? Oh, okay, I see something there.
Yeah. Randy Orton does that a lot as well. He
the T-shirt, no undies.
Yeah. Oh, that's too funny. Jeremy, do you have any more wrestling related ones? I got a couple more Creator Clash ones before we wrap.
No, you go with Creator Clash, and then I have one more just completely off topic.
Okay, awesome. I know you've been calling people out for the next Creator Clash. Do you have an ideal opponent?
I do. Nexpo is his name. Nexpo. Nexpo and I have had a feud for 3 years. Matt Pat would be another one, but Matt does not want to fight. But Nexpo does want to fight, and we're about the same weight, same height. He's a little thicker than I am, but it doesn't matter to me. I'll outmaneuver him day and night, nonstop, never stop punching. So Nexpo, he wants to fight, and it's looking like possibly we might be able to fight around Halloween. I'm trying to set up my own event. I'm talking to Real Good Touring, who organized the Creator Clash with iDubbbz and Anissa. That's who's organizing this tour I'm on right now for Game Grumps. Real Good Touring does like all the YouTuber tours. And I'm talking with them about setting up my own smaller event where it's a lot of the spooky channels. Also, Malachi Black wants to be there. He's friends with Justin Wang, who is another YouTuber, and Justin Wang and I are friends, and he wants Malachi to train him. And I talked to Malachi at AEW backstage at the Friday night show, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm training him good. He's got his own like MMA studio or something, and he wants to train Justin Wang." So it's a whole event with like a lot of like more spookier, I want to say dark content, but it's more like people who investigate like creepy subject matter. So that would be sort of the theme of the event. Mama Max is another name that wants to be a part of it. Some Ordinary Gamers, Muda is his name.
Yep.
So we got a lot of people. These are like some pretty big channels. And Nexpo. So Nexpo is who I want to fight, and he wants to fight me. We've had a feud for 3 years because he said a lot of bad things about me in his video. He said that my wife is brainwashing me and I shouldn't be eating these cans of food. And I think he's full of garbage, and he just needs to come here to Town USA and eat a can of food, and he'll see that everything is fine. So Nexpo, come and get your food or you're getting the belt.
Do you have any like a location locked down at all for October?
No location yet. It's hopefully we can make it work for October, or at least towards the end of the year. But I have no idea. I heard that talk that it might have to take place in Florida because Florida might be the only place you can do these sort of exhibition matches, but I don't know how true that is. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
Hopefully soon. I'll know.
I would love to attend that. I'm looking forward to you getting in the ring again, and anyone else who is willing to do it. You know, one other question I got for you. It's a controversial name, but it's a name that's somewhat attached to the show. And I'm just curious, with you running your own boxing event, would you let Sam Hyde fight if he was interested?
I personally wouldn't really want to because, and I've done some research. Everything I've heard and seen, it's just, it wouldn't work in my opinion, because also I don't want to reward people that I think take advantage of negativity and like edginess and just like next level trolling as like your form of art and your form of creation, which is kind of just, it's taking advantage of like making people feel bad and uncomfortable. And I just don't like that. And people would his audience would just rip me apart. And I see them all the time in my comments, but like, I'd rather do stuff with positive people who try to do good things and get along and you don't have to worry about. And, you know, it's like good people doing good things. And the energy of Creator Clash was just so good. I would never want to be a part of something that would have an ounce of that world's energy, because it's just, why bother unless the person can like prove that is not what they're going to do and not what they like. But it would take like a good amount of other work outside to show the world that you're not that person anymore. So I personally wouldn't want to have anything to do with him, unfortunately. I mean, nothing against him. I don't know him as a person, but like everything I've seen is just not really my style.
Sure, that's totally fair. I was just curious because I know he had a big hand in training Harley for the fight, and Harley did so well, and and it's just a name that keeps kind of coming up. So I was just interested, but thank you for answering that. I appreciate that.
No problem. Yeah, I talked to Harley about that too, and that whole thing was purely promotion because he knew it would get views. He had his real coach was who he said like, "Oh no, my real coach is coaching me, but this is like for views." So, and it worked. It's a good story. I understand it. I would maybe do something like that too. Maybe not with him, but like I understand the whole, like Matt and I like were the only ones who did diss tracks. So we went like the full route of like trying to get eyes on this. And I'm down to do stuff that might make people go, "Oh God, what are you doing?" Like to get people to like check it out. So that was the route he took. And I think it makes sense, but I wouldn't have in my, personally, I wouldn't have gone that way, but like, I think it makes sense that he did it.
Sure. Anyone else that really impressed you on the show? Like I was really impressed by Michael Reeves personally. I didn't expect him to look so good, and I thought he looked great. He said he wasn't going to fight again afterwards, but like, was there anyone else that really stood out? Because everyone did better than I expected because I had no real expectations, but some people really stood out. Do you have a couple people you want to shout out from that show?
Yeah, Michael Reeves blew everyone away. He's a maniac. That was awesome. He was amazing. But yeah, Ryan from Super Mega, Ryan and Alex, their fight was crazy. iDubbbz, Aaron from Grumps. Holy crap, man. Aaron's good. Aaron's a good fighter for sure. Harley is just so much bigger. It was a bummer that Aaron didn't get to really show, but Aaron is like, could outmaneuver him, I feel. But it's just the sheer size difference was like, it's too hard, you know? Like Harley can just go and clobber you without any like having to like really do much, you know? It's just all the weight behind him. So Aaron impressed me a lot, and I really want to see Aaron fight again. We're gonna spar on this trip. We have some gloves here. We've been working out together, but we haven't boxed yet. We're gonna do some boxing on this. But Aaron and Ryan from Super Mega, especially, they really impressed me because they just like didn't. And Aaron's thing was weird because he didn't want to stop the fight, but there was a weird thing where like the guy said, "Do you want 15 seconds to rest?" And Aaron's like, "If I can get 15 seconds, yeah." And then they called it. And Aaron's like, "Well, I didn't want to do it." It was like a weird thing where they were like asking him a question. He wasn't sure what to say. But yeah, he got a little screwed, I feel. And I think Aaron could have gone a little farther. And Ryan, holy crap. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, and iDubbbz, obviously.
Oh yeah, iDubbbz transformation, just physically and everything, from like watching him kind of first start training to where he is now. He's shown, I mean, it's very, very impressive. And Dr. Mike is a guy who like clearly had more experience, and I think Ian really held his own in there. It was a great main event. I really enjoyed it. Are you going to be coming through Atlanta by chance? Because my brother actually owns a small boxing gym, and if you ever got to get some work done in Atlanta, just hit me up on Twitter, because he watched the show with me. He loved it. He'd definitely be able to help you out a little bit.
Oh, cool. We were just in Atlanta a few days ago, but I might be going back down to Atlanta. I have a lot of friends down there. I might be going back down in July, so I will definitely let you know, because I would love to train everywhere. I want to be training as much as I can over the rest of the summer.
Cool.
My last one, and then we'll get you out of here. Appreciate it. Taking the time, hanging out at a gas station with us.
You. My pleasure.
How does Dad celebrate Father's Day? It's Father's Day on Sunday. How does Dad celebrate?
Oh, yeah, it is Father's Day. Well, normally I celebrate by sitting in front of True Value Hardware and soaking up the rays from their glowing red sign. I love True Value. It's the greatest hardware store in the universe. And there's some videos on my channel of me literally just sitting there for an hour straight. And I drink some cans of food, and I relax with my feet on the cooler and have a great time. That's normally what I do, but I will be spending it with the Grumps on the tour bus, playing Pokemon cards with Aaron probably. So it'll be a good Father's Day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we appreciate it. Let everyone know where they can find you at, both Dad and the shoot name. Let everyone know where they can find you at, where they can check you out at.
Okay, well, if you search Dad on YouTube, you'll find me. I'm the first thing that comes up. But Dad Feels, as you can see above my head here, on all social media, and I'm very active on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to look up the man that I am based on, Nathan Barnett, who looks like Trevor Phillips and all these other crazy people, you can search Nathan Barnett, Barn ATT, or just search Nathan Dance on YouTube. You'll find him. He does a lot of stuff, but he's no Dadbot. He's no Quantum Father. So just check out Dad. I'm the only thing worth watching.
Good luck getting 1 million subscribers. I don't know what's wrong with YouTube that it's not there. I think it's completely false. The numbers have been rigged and gamed to hold you down. So yeah, YouTube.
2005.
YouTube.
Nathan started in like 2005, day one YouTube, and still neither channel, Nathan's or Dad's, has been able to get even 500,000. So now that all 500,000 viewers of this show can now go and subscribe, and we can hit 1 million.
That's right.
Love it.
Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it. Be safe on the road, guys. We'll be right back here. Big thanks to Dad for joining us. He's in the chat. What a great guy he is. I hope you're doing well in town, USA, Dad. I hope the hardware store treats you well on Father's Day. Everyone go check him out. Subscribe to the channel. Again, you can click the link in the chat right there. JJ's got it. Subscribe to Dad's channel. It's youtube.com/dadfield. Go help him hit 1 million subscribers. Just yeah, one of the best interviews we have done. I literally texted my fiance in the middle of it, and I was like, this is the greatest interview ever. And what didn't cut off, or what cut off, what people didn't get to hear, was Dad said very nice things about Fightful. So anybody who says nice things about Fightful and the work we do is a great guy in my estimation. So go support Dad. Check out everything he is doing. Look forward to seeing him back in a wrestling ring and wrestling capacity, and back in a boxing ring with a creators clash. Guys, we appreciate everyone hanging out with us today. Very long show. We had a lot to cover. Wild week in the world of professional wrestling. I saw Sean Ross Sapp tweet that there's more bad news, but it's not related to Vince, Sasha, or Jeff Hardy. So I don't know if that's good or bad, and that there's more bad stuff happening and it's not related to them. So everyone subscribe to Fightful Select. Head over to FightfulOverbooked.com. We have a new Day After Dynamite today with Will Washington. I'm sure I'll pop in, make a cameo on that show. We have our Joshi Dreamcast podcast that just dropped. We have our New Japan Overbook show that dropped as well. FMC is up as well. So yes, head over to Fightful Overbooked. We got new content daily over there covering all aspects of the world of wrestling. I hear, here's a scoop for everybody, I hear Lambs has been found. I don't know what happened to him, but he went away for a while, and I hear he has been found, and he could be returning soon to Fightful Overbook. I'll let him tell the story. That is his story to tell. But from what my sources have told me, that Lambs has been spotted and could be returning soon. All right, everyone. So head over to Fightful Overbooked. Head over to Fightful.com. Thank you again for joining us on the Spotlight. We'll be back next week with a new episode covering wrestling. Talk to y'all next week. Bye, everyone.